broadcasting worldwide, online 24/7.
Enlighten your day with Starr Radio.
Love for you runs deep. All of you miss.
Yeah, we're getting ready again as we prepare the rollout for the Starr Radio UK. I give shout out to all our people as we prepare the program of the day. As we say all the time, if you don't break it down, somebody will then have to break it at some point. And that is a reality. Everybody's running away from the reality. We are saving the problem, the problem that we are all saving is still going to come and bite us. Problem down suffering. How much more bite to us? So why are we living in denial? Problem tí à ń sá fún ó ṣì ń bọ̀ wá. Bàbá sá títí fún problem yẹn. The problem is not going anywhere. A kàn sún ọjọ́ yẹn síwájú ni. And that's one thing we need to understand. A kàn sún síwájú. So better ká jẹ́ kó níyànjú once and for all. But àwọn kan ń fẹ́ ká máa sún síwájú. À ń sún problem wọn sọ́jọ́ iwájú. Problem tó yẹ ká sọ fáwọn politicians wa pé Nigeria is not working, but rather à ń sún síwájú, à ń sún síwájú, à ń sún síwájú. Ìgbà wo ni kò ní di problem? Èní kan ni problem ti wà. Mo ń gbọ́ Ethiopia situation. Mo tẹ̀ mọ̀ pé Italy náà wọ́n ti ṣe jàǹbá tó pọ̀ gbogbo àwọn European country. I was just listening to that now, almost an hour. Wow, tí wọ́n prepare ní bíbá. Mo ṣẹ̀ wá realize pé àṣé òun lélẹ̀ nísìnyí èmi ti jẹ breakfast nísìnyí. Mo mọ̀ bí àwọn ti jẹ breakfast o tó bá ti jẹ breakfast. Ṣé nǹkan tí mo lè ṣe sí o? Mo ti jẹ breakfast ní tèmi. Mo tẹ̀ mọ̀ pé àwọn Italy yẹn àwọn náà wọ́n dá problem sílẹ̀ gan rẹpẹtẹ ní àgbáyé. Ìgbà tí mò ń gbọ́ history Ethiopia, Ọlọ́run máa ṣàánú wa o. Àwọn European country wọ́n ti ṣe jàǹbá tó pọ̀ gidi. I didn't realize that Ethiopia also had a very, very bad situation pẹ̀lú àwọn Italy. So ìdí tí èèyàn ṣe láti máa educate ara èèyàn around the history láti máa fi ṣe proper program, because a lot of things tí mo learn níbẹ̀ mo gbọ́dọ̀ share pẹ̀lú ẹ̀yin tiwa. Ethiopia náà ní 80 different ethnic groups làwọn náà ní. 80. Celestials nígbà kan kódà kò tẹ̀ lè gbé nínú Ethiopia. Ó lọ on exile. Ọlọ́run tóbi lọ́ba o. So problem tí a face nísìn ní Nàìjíríà. Ó ṣàwà nìkan ni la máa kọ́kọ́ face problem yẹn. Problem ti wà tipẹ́, àtayédáyé ni problem ti wà. but nítorí pé a máa avoid the problem ẹ má ẹ̀ka tí ẹ jẹ́ ká máa ṣe báyìí ẹ jẹ́ ká ṣe báyìí ẹ jẹ́ ká ṣe báyìí eventually the problem continue to grow and problem yẹn ò ní wá sort out ìyẹn la ṣe ń sọ fáwọn èèyàn wa pé problem tá à ń sá fún ní Nàìjíríà problem yẹn ò lè kúrò níbẹ̀ because gbogbo akọ máa marginalize ara wa Yorùbá débẹ̀ nísìn a marginalize Igbo díẹ̀ Igbo kẹrin lẹ fẹ́ kó débẹ̀ gbogbo akẹrin là fẹ́ràn Igbo ẹ a fẹ́ràn ara wa a kàn live in denial a dẹ̀ ń sọ fúnra wa pé kíní yóò lè máa continue báyìí wọ́n ní ká shut up ẹ jẹ́ ká renegotiate ẹ jẹ́ ká jókòó sórí round table kí kíní lè kó lè níyanjú ọ̀fẹ́ kó níyanjú olúkálukú ń parọ́ ẹ má bínú pé àwọn tí Instagram ni mo fi sókè I'm just getting myself ready for the Starr review so à ń parọ́ fúnra wa and live a fake life mo kí ẹ káàsán everybody bẹ́ẹ̀ problem tá à ń sá fún lẹ́nu tí gbogbo wa ń sá fún ó sì ń padà bọ̀ láti wá báìtì wa so kí là àkókò yanjú problem yẹn ká sọ fáwọn representative wa pé problem tá à ń sá fún yìí a lè sá fún díẹ̀ ni o but in the long run the problem is not going anywhere problem yẹn ò kúrò níbi tó wà bóun wà ká sá bóun wà ká má sá problem yẹn ò lè kúrò forever ni problem Nàìjíríà nígbà tí Ethiopia nídìí assistant àwọn West nígbà tó ń jagun a sì máa ṣe program lé lórí properly so that màá lè mo ṣe gbọ́ YouTube video yẹn tán ni ẹ̀rọ pé mi kọ́ mo ní YouTube video so màá play YouTube video yẹn fún wa later but for now ní time púpọ̀ mọ́ so a ní láti prepare fún Starr Radio YouTube video yẹn tí mo wò yẹn ó fún mi ní background history about Ethiopia a little bit. So but at the end of the day everyone is looking for miracles. Àwọn wá miracle pé kó wá yanjú problem tó wà Nàìjíríà ẹ lọ gbọ́ history Ethiopia ẹ rí i pé we are not the only one going through what we are going through right now but unfortunately until our people get to know sky power. So we see how it goes. We see how it goes. A sọ fún ara wa pé in reality this thing is not working but àwọn kan ló máa work pé ká ṣe sùúrù díẹ̀ ó máa work but everybody mọ̀ pé kò lè work you know everybody mọ̀ pé kò lè work but tó bá yá everybody máa get message pé the country Nigeria báwa náà ṣe ní problem internal problem bẹ́ẹ̀ náà ní internal problem wà ní different part of the world today but àwọn android àwọn West nígbà tí Ethiopia nídìí West kó ràn wọ́n lọ́wọ́ wọ́n ràn wọ́n lọ́wọ́ nígbà tí Italy fẹ́ invade wọn they needed the West to support them but the West did not support them West to support wọn rárá West to support wọn at all so nígbà tó ní the west pé kó support wọn nígbà tí Italy fẹ́ invade wọn wọ́n support they refuse to support wọ́n support wọn so kò ń ṣèní ni problem yẹn ti ń bọ̀ but tí mo mọ̀ ni pé ìjọ kan ṣá situation yẹn máa á resolve rẹ̀ ìjọkíjọ tó bá jẹ́ everybody á jẹ breakfast à ń sá fún problem yẹn nísìnyí but problem yẹn ó sì máa wá bite gbogbo wa problem tí ó yẹ ká jókòó bíi tọmọlúàbí kí gbogbo wa ká jọ yanjú ẹ̀ gbogbo wa ń sá fún but the same problem yẹn ló sì máa wá bite everybody at some point. So èmi kọ́ mọ̀ pé bó pẹ́ bóyá gbogbo wa ni a máa ní ìta máa sọ sọ́rọ̀ tó wà nílẹ̀. Everybody ló máa ní understanding yẹn ó kù díẹ̀ understanding tá à ń sá fún yẹn a máa ní because everybody mọ̀ pé the problem is just a kàn sweep ẹ̀ sábẹ́ carpet ni gbogbo á deceive ara wa as sweep ẹ̀ sábẹ́ carpet. bó pẹ́ bóyá everybody máa get message yẹn pé the country tí ẹ nífẹ̀ẹ́ confusion state ló wà. Nigeria is in a confusion situation but everybody is living in denial. À ń parọ́ fúnra wa kò máa work. bó pẹ́ bóyá our politicians they will not be able to to deceive you anymore. ó kọ̀ kù díẹ̀ ni wọ́n ṣì ń lè máa deceive yín bó pẹ́ bóyá wọ́n ní lè deceive yín mọ́ because irọ́ tó bá fi pa fún yín by that time ẹ ti mọ̀ pé irọ́ ló ń pa fún yín but ẹni wọn parọ́ fún yín so kọ́lọ́n kó fún gbogbo alẹ́ ní gbogbo àtàlàfíà ẹnu ẹ̀ ní gbogbo àjọ wà ẹnu ẹ̀ ní everybody wà àtẹ̀mí àtẹ̀yìn àti àwọn tí wọ́n sọ pé kò necessary pé kí a kúrò nínú Nàìjíríà. Government come government go ni so bí a government yẹn ó máa wá solve gbogbo internal problem. Everybody ló máa understand it in the long run. So, So let's switch from there now. In the long run, everybody will get the message. Obasanjo náà kúkú sọ pé ẹ lọ push wọn out. He actually said it in one of his conversation last year or year before with some Nigerians. So those that are living in denial will get the message. All right, my mic is going to go off and we're going to switch to Starr Radio.
Right. The reason I was like, oh, really? Okay. Former Pakistan Prime Minister Imran Khan arrested by paramilitary officers at court in Islamabad. His party is saying that is breaking news coming through. I'm going to bring you more on that front during the course of the program. Law behind coronation. Arrest two broad. That's what a Tory MP is saying. Well, they decided to hang down the people before they cause any troubles. But, well, Israel kills top Gaza militants in waves of attacks. The country braces for retaliation as a surprise airstrikes kill 3 militants and 10 civilians. There are some stories making the rounds there as well. It's all coming away from Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Interestingly, pharmacists to prescribe antibiotics instead of GPs. Yay! The pharmacists will be able to prescribe drugs for 7 common ailments, including sore throats and earaches. Well, this and a lot more going to be coming your way, but there's been an introduction. I don't know. We'll try to get our money man or anyone in that field. I think KB Bossman and Vicky Newton will be doing justice to that. Deposit-free mortgage aimed at renters launched. The product requires a good credit history, but does not need the financial backing of family or friends. We'll be looking into that and be telling you more about that. It's all coming away from Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Stay tuned and don't you go away. Enjoy this music whilst I get Mr. Olayomi Koiki geared up to come in. Everlasting to Everlasting by Chudera Gospel. Pastor Chudera Bwajansan, good morning to you and to the family.
King of kings, Lord of lords. King who has no successor, flower that never fades. Abba Father, we worship. Thy kingdom come. Thy kingdom come. Oh Lord. We call you Emmanuel. Emmanuel. You are the first. You are the first. The Alpha and Omega. And the last. So we bow down and worship you. And we lift you high. And lift you high. Kingdom stand. From age to age. Everlasting. Everlasting. To everlasting. There is no one. No one like you. We worship you. Lord, we worship you. You're the King forever. Kingdom stand. From age to age. Everlasting. Everlasting. To everlasting. You're the earth, there is no one. There is no one. From the north to the south, from the east to the west, nobody like you, Jesus. Lord, we worship you high.
This is Starr Radio UK. This is Starr Radio UK.
There is no one like you. We worship you. Lord, we worship you high.
This is Starr Radio UK. This is Starr Radio UK.
Hi everyone, it's your girl BB Clemens, the author of How to Go From Employee to Entrepreneur and the host of your weekly business show, BB Means Business, the show where we discuss everything you ever wanted to know about business but you were afraid to ask. How do I start my business? How do I raise the finance? How do I grow my business? Where am I going to find my customers? Join me every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. on Starr Radio UK to get all the information and tips that you need to become a successful entrepreneur and become financially free. Remember, don't let life dictate to you. Rather, put your signature on life.
Everywhere you go, Afrobeat reggae dancehall taking over. Everywhere you go, Afrobeat reggae dancehall taking over. Yo, what's up, people? This is a boy Raskin Bobo One. Tune in every day, every night at the Starr Radio UK with the big man them Archie. When I say Orta, you say fire.
Welcome back to the program Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London, bringing the time now to 7 minutes past the top of the hour. And it is Tuesday edition of the morning show. And you know, at this juncture, we'll be having the one and only Mr. Olayomi Koiki, the White Lion, in the house as well, in our North London studios. And he's already there, ready to fire on all cylinders. And let me say, Yomi, good morning to you.
Yeah, a very good morning to you back in the studio, Mr. Archie. Good morning, Frank. Good morning to everyone that has also joined us, and welcome once again after the long weekend break, and likewise, you know, so many other activities. It's good to be back. It is the Tuesday edition, 7 minutes past, like you say. Same time with Nigeria, because you know, the British timing is sometimes a little bit confusing. But since you know, the British colonized Nigeria, we tend to be working on almost same time, apart from during the winter when we are 1 hour ahead of them.
Well, it's nice to see you once again. And we heard that you had a very nice weekend with the coronation and everything.
Well, the coronation was you know, fully packed. I was on the ground there, you know, where the activities, apart from the weather, I did, you know, question a lot of, you know, those that attended and they were saying that the weather wasn't a problem because it was once in a lifetime. I believe not. A lot of people would not have witnessed such if not the death of the late Queen Elizabeth that took place last year. She was on the throne for a very long time. She was actually, the queen in 1950. So it's almost a very, very long time that we've seen this kind of coronation. But as we do know, the British have done so much other events that have been projected to the international community. When we talk about, the different weddings, like the wedding of Diana herself, was one of the most watched around the world. But I believe about 20 million people were watching these from different parts of the world. But one thing is, the atmosphere was fully packed. The security, the choreography, the timing, and it seems everything according to what a lot of people were looking up to actually happened. But the question is, can we put this in practice in African countries, in Nigeria, where event can start with so much timing and then everybody can still go back home without minimal disruption? And I did say I was on the ground for a very, very long period of time, and you could still tell that the whole of London was not completely shut down.
Well, it's interesting because that's what we experience here. Bishop Adesina Adeyemo, good morning to you. Say morning to you, Starr Radio UK. Good morning to you, my bishop. I hope you are doing very, very well and had a nice weekend. We thank God Nigeria has not happened to you, as we say on this platform. Okay. Now, you've spoken about when it comes to how we organize things and how things are organized back in Nigeria. But did you see the president, Nigerian president? Yes, he's still the president until the 29th. Did you see him?
Well, we couldn't get a glimpse of him, but I believe the only picture of him was not very, very clear. As you could tell, that there was quite a lot of guests from different parts of the world, but I couldn't have opportunity to see him. But like I said, we do know that it was right there in the Westminster Abbey where the event was taking place.
Now, let me ask you one question. I mean, that is digressing a bit, but you look at is it the Gabonese president, Omar Bongo? One of them, he came in and I think he suffered a stroke, and you saw him walking with a stick, and virtually you see he was struggling to walk. And I was asking myself the question: there are other people. Weren't there anyone in his cabinet who could have come to represent the country? How do you see that? Do you think that is more of a devotion? Oh yes, I'm devoted to, represent my country. That's what he was doing. So what do you think?
Well, it depends on which part of the argument that you might want to look at. Some might say that and if he's got stroke, does that mean it has to end this world? In as much as some of us are healthy, we all pray for a good health. And if he's not fit, in terms of from the view of others, does not mean that he doesn't have the right to participate as in this condition. I mean, we might look at it because we've seen Africa. From the perspective of some of the leaders, that are not meant to be there. But when you bring it back close home, you remember that we had the Home Secretary, David Blanket, that was moving around with his dogs, and he was there for a very long time. I mean, his own situation, we didn't know what actually led to the partial stroke. But I believe from different arguments, some might say he's still doing what he has to do, even though some might disagree with that.
All right, listeners, it's Starr Radio UK. Now let's go to Nigeria and look at some of the substantive issues that is going on. First of all, in your background, Mr. Olayomi's background, you can see the court that is sitting, or the tribunal that is supposed to be sitting, or that sat yesterday to administer justice on the election tribunal. But let me put this across first. Bishop Adesina says they invited Tiwa Savage, a Yoruba female artist. Is that a welcome awareness of Yoruba nation by Britain, United Kingdom, with their politics of tricks? Well, that's an interesting one. So Tiwa Savage comes from the Yoruba, the southwest. Let me put it that way. He is asking the question: is it a ploy to say that we support Yoruba nation? So we don't know the tactics, but maybe Yomi will be able to read between the lines during the course of the program. I wouldn't bother him now. But Yomi, so let's come to the story that happened in the tribunal yesterday.
Well, it's going to be one of the most fully focused when it comes to the history of Nigeria, because for the last 24 years, we've always seen two presidential aspirants, and either one lose and one doesn't, get satisfied, then end up going to court. It's not the first time that tribunal, is being set up, in different part of the country. As I speak to you right now, we will be getting a judgment from the Osun State, which is a different thing, which is state level, between the current governor Adeleke and the previous one, Oyetola, before the end of today. But coming back to the presidential poll, the 5 justices that are sitting on Atiku Obi and against the petition of one person, that's Bola Ahmed Tinubu. To the right hand, to the left hand side is Justice Bello, Justice Ugo, Justice Bolaji Yusuf, Justice Ada, and Justice Tassamani. These are the 5 justices that will be looking into these hearings. Yesterday we saw Peter Obi there. We didn't see Tinubu there, neither did we see Atiku. But according to the presidential election petition that began yesterday, hearing the petition filed by 5 candidates in the last presidential poll. So it's not just about the Labour Party or PDP. We also have other presidential aspirants that have also filed these petition against Bola Tinubu. The candidates are challenging one thing and one thing alone: the victory of the president-elect Bola Tinubu. But the 5-man panel will hear the petitions and dispense justice accordingly, meet the 5 Court of Appeal justice that will determine the outcome of the petition. Haruna Tusami is 64 years old, was appointed a Justice of Appeal Court in 2010. He actually received his degree in the Nigerian Law School in 1983. He was appointed the High Court judge in Bauchi State on September 17, 1998. Tasma is not new to electoral tribunal sitting. Is actually in December 2015, he was part of the 5-man panel of appeal court, which actually dismissed an appeal instituted by the former governor of Oyo State, Rashid Ladoja, against the election of the late former governor Biola Ajimobi. So some of these, judges are not new, to this kind of situation. But Nigerians' expectation is quite high. Let's talk about one of the justices there, Justice Stephen Johan Ada. And just to give you, Justice Stephen Ada is the one to the 4th, when you count it from the left-hand side of my screen, for those that are watching us, back home. Justice Stephen Johan Ada, also 66 years old justice from Asaba Division Court of Appeal. He actually graduated as well in 1982. He hails from Kogi State. He was appointed as a judge of the Federal High Court on November 12, 1998. He was also part of the justice promoted to the appeal court in 2012. One of his landmark judgments was delivered in an appeal that was filed by the EFCC, the Economic Financial Crimes, in 2020 against a trial court decision which partially upheld the no-case submission filed by the former president Goodluck Jonathan cousin Robert Azebola. Ada led the panel that also affirmed Enugu State Ifeanyi Uba as a senator after he was sacked over the alleged certificate forgery. So you can see that the first 2 justices that we've given a background probably can upturn things or probably favor Tinubu as the continued president-elect, while the whole inauguration is still in a top gear because invitation is already out, because I've already seen that invitation sent to me from Abuja.
Okay, listeners, it is Starr Radio UK. Now let's talk about these 2. One of the still on the tribunal, the case that the tribunal actually threw out, or Justice Chamani threw out a petition from the Action Alliance. Now, who are the Action Alliance people?
Well, Action Alliance is just one of the so many political party in Nigeria. They are also a member of the political party which was founded under the Action Alliance Party in Nigeria. The Action Group was a Nigerian nationalist political party that was established in Ibadan on the 21st of March 1951 by the late Chief Oba Femi Awolowo. But the Action Alliance, just as like I said, some have already pulled out, while some are still maintaining that they will go ahead, in finding a final, situation. The court actually, started at about 9:14 a.m. up to 10:30 a.m. when they went on a short break. The court resumed at about 10:45 when the court sitting continued. Like I said, there were so many people out there. The Plateau State Governor was there, Simon Lalong, also introduced himself as Tinubu's representative. The AAC National Chairman Adekunle Omaje, which is announced appearance in the court as well at about 10:47. Action Alliance petition was called at about 10:46 a.m. So it's going to take a lot, as much as we want the result out quickly, but it's not going to happen anytime soon. Wole Olanipe, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, announced appearance for Bola Tinubu, the president-elect, while at about 11 a.m., Abubakar Mahmood San announced appearance for INEC. So you can see that, not just, the political party are bringing in their Senior Advocate of Nigeria, but we also have INEC also having representative, to come and argue on this as well. At 11:23 a.m., INEC lawyer Mr. Mahmood said he has no objection to the withdrawal of the petition of the AA, which is the Action Alliance that you talked about.
Now, interestingly, do you think that maybe they've been spoken to by the APC to say, come on, leave that, we'll sort you out later on? Do you think it's something to do with that?
Well, we know that there's a lot of movement when it comes to this kind of situation, because as much as Tinubu would have loved to have, Peter Obi and Atiku put that call through, and that would have, put his mind away from these. As much as also they believe that they won the election, it is not yet over until it's over. They normally say there was a game that was played, somewhere in another country where I did follow, and at about almost 30 seconds, the goalkeeper almost, conceded another goal, which made the game end into 1-1. But the situation with this right now is, we've never come to this stage where Nigerians are focused, and the reason for that is because there's a third force, and that third force cannot be overruled, which is Peter Obi.
Well, listeners, it is Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Mr. Olayomi Koiki in our North London studios. I'm Archie here in the South Studios, and we're bringing you updates from Nigeria. Okay, before we move on to the next story, Pastor Mo says, we really wonder, pertaining to the Gabonese president's appearance at the coronation, who should have been resting in his home. He says, we really wonder the mentality of Africans. He should have sent someone in his cabinet, really. That's what he should have done. But well, he decided, well, I'm strong and able. Decided to come and show himself. So maybe he's being patriotic. What do you think about all that? Well, lots more. Feel free, post your comments, and we'll be bringing you more on that front. But let's go to Yomi for some of the other stories making the rounds. So what has been Peter Obi and Atiku's appearance? We know that it was Peter Obi who appeared in the courts yesterday. But what has been Atiku's remarks or anything of the sort with what is going on? Are they some sort of satisfied with what is going on at the moment? The compilation of the judges, because at times you look at the compilation and say that who have they actually put together to see to this case, and at times that actually put people in the mind that look, we're not going to be having justice. What have been their reaction pertaining to the judges who are sitting on this case? Yomi.
Well, Peter Obi has always said that he's not going to do anything contradictory to any other, and that's why there hasn't been any kind of protest from his side. We saw Atiku went out quickly, had a protest in front of the INEC. Peter Obi hasn't done anything of such. He believed that the court would do the needful with all the evidence that they have. At exactly 12:19 p.m. yesterday, the court calls Peter Obi's petition challenging Mr. Tinubu's victory. At about a minute after that, Mr. Obi also announced his appearance. At about a minute after that, Obiora Ifo, the Labour Party National Publicity Secretary, announced self as the Labour Party representative. And then, just about a minute after that, May Agba Muchi announced appearance on behalf of INEC. At 23 minutes past 12, Simon Lalong, the Plateau State Governor, announced appearance for APC. Is Tinubu going to appear? We don't know yet, but what we do know that he has a representative that was appearing. But at 12:24 p.m., the Labour Party lawyer Levi Uzuku announced appearance. But what we're going to find out is tomorrow, Wednesday, the court has adjourned Peter Obi's petition until tomorrow, where we'll be able to discuss further on that as well.
Well, I know that information coming through says that Tinubu is to embark on another foreign trip. That's what his aides have revealed, and that is about 29 minutes ago, information that came through. That means that there's a tendency that he will not appear in the courts at all.
Well, I believe Tinubu, might probably be avoiding any kind of a court appearance. He will probably want to leave that, to some of his aid, out there. I mean, if he's going to be traveling out, like you said, I've not picked that news, but from what you are saying, it seems definitely, maybe not for any reason, where he has to go is more important, and he will not be appearing since he has, a lot of representatives and the legal team that could do that on his behalf. But like I said, we look forward to, how the end of this is going to happen. Remember that today is the 9th day of May. So in 20 days from now, there must be a closure to how Nigeria move forward when it comes to, the May 29 inauguration. And like I said, the invitation is already out there. So it seems that things are still going to the top gear. But whether the court will put a hold on all these or not, or whether the court will upturn it, nobody can tell. That is left to all the 5, justices that will be dealing with this election tribunal. They are not, new to this, but the only difference is the expectation is quite high on them.
Now, just a quick one for the sake of our listeners and viewers who don't hail from Nigeria, who are listening to us. Can you tell us about the compilation? Who and who are from where? Are you able to do that from the top of your head?
You mean from the justice?
Yeah, from the justices, yeah.
Well, I mean, like we were giving, the background to them earlier. Let's see if we can pick that back up again. Once again, this is still, Starr Radio UK. I think we have that. I know one was from Kogi State, like we did mention earlier. And the remaining 4, I'll be able to give you a little bit of them in just about a few minutes because we had them yet. So let's go to, we talked about the first 2. We talked about Justice Ada, and we already talked about Justice Tasama. Tasama, if those that are watching the images from your screen, that will be the Justice Tasama is the one to the right-hand side, the final person to the right-hand side. Justice Ada follows, and then we go to Justice Ugo. Justice Ugo is from Bayelsa State. Justice Bulugo Moses Ugo from Bayelsa State, also born in 1965, just 5 years after the Nigerian independence. Most of them probably finished around 1982. He also attended the University of Calabar, where he studied law between 85 to 89, where he obtained his degree in law. He's ranked the 44th on the seniority list of the Court of Appeal. Then we also have Justice Mohammed Abba Bello, again 62 years old, hail from Kano State, graduated from the Nigerian Law School again in 1985. In 2010, he was appointed to the High Court of the Federal Capital Territory. He also presided over the Nasarawa State Governorship Election Tribunal in 2019, where David Omugbu, the PDP candidate for the governor in the general election in 2019, had filed a suit against INEC and the governor Abdullahi Sule of the APC. However, Justice Muhammad rejected the petition on the ground that he lacked merit. Is he going to be doing the same thing? We have to wait and see. And that is as all those that will be on the sitting for the next couple of days.
Well, let's see what happens. But a straight reaction has come from one pastor by name, who is a leader of the INRI Evangelical Spiritual Church, Primate Elijah Ayodele, and he has warned judges against giving judgment that would disunite the country at the ongoing presidential election tribunal. So what is he talking about? Is he saying that, well, if they look at it well and they know that it's glaring that maybe some underdealings or something went wrong there, they shouldn't make pronouncement. Is that what it's trying to
Primate Ayodele is just as so many of the different, clerics that we have in Nigeria. And I'm just looking at some of the headlines that have come out from him in the past and recently. Let's go back to April 2023, 7th of April. The leader of the INRL Evangelical Spiritual Church, like you said, Primate Elijah Ayodele, on Friday revealed the state where some of the governors, Ayodele named state where elected governors will be sacked. It seems that Nigerians, we love, to be given information like exposure. So, we're used to this spiritualism where, we have these, like a prophecy.
Yeah.
So prophecy is part of us. So, our Nigerians so much believe that. But according to him, on that Friday, revealed that a state where some elected governors can be sacked and replaced with a candidate of opposition. He also mentioned, PDP in Kaduna State, Isa Ashiru can reclaim his stolen mandate in the court. He also ensured that the sack of Uba Sani of the All Progressive as well. He disclosed in a statement. But the one that you're talking about, he actually says nobody can stop Tinubu's inauguration. Peter Obi will fail. That is the message he's coming back with. I don't know how he's been able to do that. Maybe God is speaking to him, and that's the reason why he's been able to get this information. But this information will have to be left to the justice to decide whether Obi fails or Obi loses or Atiku wins.
Okay, listeners, what do you think? Is it contempt? Well, he's speaking while the case is ongoing. Is he trying to just shape in the mind of this the justices? Well, Bishop Adesina say it doesn't matter where the judges come from. Nothing reasonable will come out of the court case. And even if the justice gave the right verdict, and it goes on further to say Nigeria is lawless. Now, Pastor Moore says only God can make them tell the truth because they are terrible liars. So unrighteousness is endemic in Nigeria. Even the clerics are not left out. God, please set us free in this JN. Oh my goodness. Well, listen, let's start ready, UK. Let's go back to Yomi for the rest of the stories. Yomi.
Well, again, as the rampaging of the terrorist activities continue in Nigeria, yesterday 40 worshippers were kidnapped. 15 escaped, 25 are still here. This incident happened again, during the church service yesterday at Kaduna Church. No fewer than 40 were reportedly, kidnapped by the terrorists on Sunday during the church service at Begi Baptist Church, Madala along Buruku, Barinji Road, Kaduna, in Chinku, local government area of Kaduna. As the President Muhammadu Buhari, will be returning back to Nigeria after the coronation, and it's just about 20 more days before he hands over to the President-elect until things change over. The question would be, how are they going to deal, with these, consistent security situation in Nigeria? The chairman of the Christian Association of Nigeria, Kaduna State Chapter, Reverend John Joseph Ayaba, who confirmed the report, said the worshippers were in the Sunday service around 9:30 a.m. when they had gunshot very close to the church. The gunmen attacked the church and went away with them. You wonder how this all happened. Are they calling the security? Are they calling the police? And again, all this might be because we live in a society where, it takes about 7 minutes for the response to come through from a police. But when it's a gunshot, I think it takes a little bit less than that time so that they can neutralize whoever or whatever is happening in surrounding that. But according to the police spokesman of the state, the DSP Mohammed Jaliga, who was contacted, he promised to contact the DPO of the affected area for prompt action. Prompt action to get back those that have been kidnapped? Well, we don't know yet. Let's go back again. Many Nigerians see the ninth Senate as a rubber stamp. Ahmed Lawan.
Okay, Yami, please, just before you go on that Senate story. Now, is there a chance where the churches or the place of worship, whether it's a mosque or a church place, whether they can have some sort of security? So we have the Amatekon in the southwest, okay? We don't know the other places, maybe in the north. Can they have some security of a sort so that people who are coming in are checked and people stand at the entrances of the main?
Every one of us must rise up. The armed forces are not neutral. They collude. They collude. They collude with the armed bandits. They kill people, kill Nigerians. They facilitate their movements. They cover them. If you are depending on the armed forces to stop the killings, you will all die one by one. If you are depending on the armed forces to stop the killings, you will all die one by one.
So that literally means that, if we don't want to die one by one, we need to have our own kind of security system. And that was why, the situation of the Amotekun came up and some other security outfit. But in terms of private security can apply for, firearms to defend the church. But whether some of the churches are taking these proactive is another question. But let's also remind ourselves that we have a situation where some of the churches are not as strong to even have the kind of money. But sometimes it might be worth investing in that security because you might end up paying more money at the time that these individuals would have to be returned back.
Yeah, it is sad, but I don't know. Pastor Mo is saying, kidnapping again for God's sake, and a crying emoji there. Those of you watching us on the other platforms, feel free if you have any comments to post across. I will we'll make sure that we'll read them as well. But let's go to Yomi for the rest of the stories. Yomi, over to you.
Well, it seems, President Muhammadu Buhari for 8 years have enjoyed the Ninth Senate, as even Ahmed Lawan says, Nigerians saw them as a rubber stamp. Our intention in preferring an engagement with the executive based on harmony and collaboration has been to better serve Nigeria. This is coming from the Senate President Ahmed Lawan says the Ninth National Assembly commitment to have a robust relationship with the executive has led many Nigerians to conclude that it is a rubber stamp. Mr. Lawan stated this while declaring the induction of the first batch of the new representatives in Abuja. He's not even meant to be there himself, but it seems that, as usual, the corruption within the Nigerian system has allowed him, because if you contest for any position like he has done under the presidential primaries, it should not even be contesting under the Senate again, but that has been manipulated. He explained that the Ninth Senate was mindful of the damaging effect of persistent conflict with the executive and its impact of the legislative as well. And that is also going on. It seems that Fashola is also saying that Nigerians should be grateful for President Muhammadu Buhari. Buhari built 8,938 housing units, 9,290 kilometers of roads for Nigerians, according to the former governor of Lagos State and the also current minister under President Muhammadu Buhari. President Buhari regime says it has delivered 8,938 housing units across 35 states and the FCT and the roads nationwide as well. This is coming from the Works and Housing Minister Babatunde Fashola yesterday in Abuja while presenting the scorecard of his stewardship in the regime's 8-year rule. Remember that last week, about some 6 million naira, or that was missing between him and some of the government official. He could not give a proper account of that. The theme of the scorecard was Tour of Duty of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, a time and economic resources report. Mr. Fashola said Mr. Buhari's 8-year regime targeted improving Nigerians' living conditions, reducing multidimensional poverty. He revealed that upon his appointment as minister, his target was to improve human lives by venturing into construction of long and neglected capital projects inherited from the previous administration. So that is the headline there, as Buhari built almost close to 9,000 homes, 9,000 kilometer roads as well, and we go straight to some of the other. Aisha Buhari and other first aid lady are donating to the Turkey earthquake. Let's remember ourselves that the situation has still not yet, improved, but it seems that the items donated include rice, books, nutrition pack for malnourished children and other essential commodities, as well as supplying 10,000 blankets to the victims of the earthquake. The president of the Africa First Lady Peace Mission, Aisha Buhari, says donations were made to assist earthquake victims in Turkey and tasked the newly elected head of the FLLPM, known as the Africa First Lady Peace Mission, Angela Burundi, to make effort towards consolidating peace building on the continent. So we take one more and then we go straight to the social media, as the Supreme Court seems to be taking over the social media this morning. EFCC wants Nigeria brothers extradited to US over sextortion. The EFCC said the Nigerian brothers conspired to conduct sex-based extortion of an American minor and an adult in the United States of America. Must now be returned as well. This is coming from the Abuja division of the Federal High Court against 3 suspects: Samson Ogoshi, his brother Samuel, and Ezekiel Jamal Robert, over the alleged exploitation of minors and the production of child pornography. The FCC spokesman Wilson disclosed this yesterday in a statement. According to the anti-graft agency, the Ogochis and Mr. Ezekiel were indicted in the U.S. federal court on December last year on charges of exploitation of minors and production of child pornography, resulting in the death. We do know that Ike Kirimadu has now been sentenced on Friday, and he will be with us in UK for some time while his sentence goes ahead. Where he's going to be. The UK was urged to investigate the Nigerian politician before the organ trafficking plot is one of the headlines yesterday. Exclusive, former US intelligence analyst says he has warned authorities about activities of Ike Ikerimadu, according to the new report that is coming through, from these, the one of the papers here in UK. This is not in Nigeria. So from what we do know, a former U.S. intelligence analyst warned the UK National Crime Agency, NCA, to investigate the activities of a senior Nigerian politician before he trafficked a man to London in an attempt to harvest his kidney, according to The Guardian can reveal. On Friday, Ike Kiremadu was sentenced to more than 9 years in the prison for being the driving force in a plot to harvest a kidney for his sick daughter in the first organ trafficking conviction under the modern slave trade. Matthew Page, a Nigerian expert at the U.S. State Department Bureau of Intelligence and Research from 2012 to 2016, and now the associate fellow at the Chatham House think tank, said the plot could have been foiled if the UK authorities had acted on his warning about Ike Kiremadu and a dossier of material about his activities in the UK. But as you know, sometimes the UK government probably just, ignore or probably not interested in some of this situation. But we do know that that is a big, big situation. There's another story that is breaking about the son of Bola Tinubu, Sheyi Tinubu, about a property link with him here in UK. Let's listen to this coming from the Bloomberg that reported the news last week, Tuesday.
Nigeria are Africa's most populous country and the continent's largest economy. And on May 29th, a new president will take over. He is the 71-year-old Bola Tinubu. He has been active in Nigerian politics for decades, and he played a key role in bringing the ruling party to power 8 years ago. New documents reported by Bloomberg for the first time show that in late 2017, Tinubu's son acquired a mansion in North London for nearly $11 million. This wasn't any old mansion. When Tinubu's son acquired the property out of foreclosure, the current administration, led by Tinubu's political ally, President Muhammadu Buhari, was trying to confiscate it. The authorities alleged that the previous owner, who maintains his innocence, had acquired it with the proceeds of crime, a $1.6 billion oil trading fraud against the state, in one of the largest corruption scandals in Nigeria's history. Neither Tinubu nor his son responded to Bloomberg's requests for comment.
Well, we had the opportunity myself to visit this particular, mansion that is being discussed. On Saturday is at number 32 Grooves End Road. It's a massive mansion. But the question is, how did a property that the federal government, has told us that has been confiscated end up to be sold to the son of the incoming president, Bola Tinubu? And as you can see, we were able to capture that, and that is the compound, quite empty, and it seems that nobody seems to be living there. But this property is worth $11 million, sitting right at Grooves End Road, which is just about a few minutes to the St. John's Wood station. And like you say, corruption continue in Nigeria. So let's go straight to the social media, where we see that the Supreme Court is currently trending at about almost 188,000 at the moment, and that shows that Nigerians are really looking up to the result that is going to come out from these these petition that is currently going on. We do know also that Osun State election, like we said earlier, we know their fate later on today, and that will probably mean that whether Adeleke, the cousin to Davido, will continue as the governor of Osun State, or the previous governor will be taking over, as we know. These are some of the messages coming, especially from the former Senator Shehu Sani. Whatever is the outcome of the judgment, I am with Adeleke. He won the election, Shehu Sani. The Supreme Court will be delivering the judgment today, as we do know. Also, we do know that Nnamdi Kanu will be appearing in the court, according to what we do know, but we hope that, there's going to be a court case. Whether it's going to be appearing, I don't know yet. But what we are getting also is that we visited Onyedu Nnamdi Kanu today, after being the 8th day, which was yesterday, at the DSS headquarters to brief him on the Thursday scheduled hearing of appeal in his matter before the Supreme Court. So on Thursday, there will be a hearing matter on the case of Nnamdi Kanu versus the federal government, and we'll be reporting that, hopefully on Friday, if we could not get any of the details by Thursday during the, the morning program. So we're going to be looking forward to that as well. We do know that the president has not made anything mentioning whether Nnamdi Kanu, will be given a state pardon or he will be released. But what we know is that the legal team are saying that Nnamdi Kanu must be released, because the judge, have actually acquitted him of all the charges. But it seems that President Muhammadu Buhari is still not yet satisfied, even after the kidnap and the rendition of Nnamdi Kanu, as we do know. So that is on that. And then let's take more from what is trending on the social media this morning as well. Quite a lot, the petition tribunal seems to be the top mark with the Osun State as well. So all these outcomes we will find out. This week is special, according to Biafra Twitter. This week is special as Nigerians battle at the presidential election petition tribunal for Peter Obi, while the Biafrans battle at the Supreme Court for the unconditional release of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu as well. And then the last one that we look up to, which is some of what is trending again this morning, we talked about enough is enough. Likewise, Adeleke is trending. Adeleke is the current governor of Osun State. Peter Obi is trending again at 126,000. Appeal court is trending. That links to the conversation of what is going on in the tribunal. But as we do know, when it comes to the world Nigeria itself, it brings out a lot from the social media at 11:47 as we take just 2 from Nigeria itself this morning. Dele Farotimi is well known. Dele Farotimi speaking in Washington, D.C., NADECO event on Nigeria election. America should stop aiding criminals who are destroying Nigeria in their country. Dele Farotimi. Remember that the NCA says, they were given enough information about Ike Kerimadu, but they didn't act on that until Ike Kerimadu end up trying to bring, someone for kidney transplant here. Ifa Funsho, 35 years without Chief Obafemi Awolowo, the greatest hero in the modern history of Nigeria and the Yoruba race, may the memories of him continue to be a blessing to the generation. He was part of the Azikiwe, the Saudana, that pushed for the independence of Nigeria after the 1957-1958 discussion here at the Chatham House. Eventually, he died in the 80s. And as a lot of Yoruba still remember that during the regional government, he was able to provide not just free education. Yoruba, in terms of the regional government, then had the first television before France. Development was growing at a very, very fast pace. But it seems that today, some of those that acted and telling us they are part of the Awolowo era are providing us with this kind of healthcare center, which I'm sure Awolowo will be asking, how did we get to where we cannot provide the basic things of life for the people?
Interesting. That was very true. I remember back in the day, in the 80s, I was a student and I visited Nigeria for about a month. And I really loved it because at that time they had private TV stations and all that. Ghana didn't have that. They had the national TV, the GBC. That's what they had at the time. But well, what have we done after these individuals did all these things? Let me quickly read some of the comments that have come in. Bishop Adeshina, pertaining to the church security or worship place security, said private security is expensive for the local churches. Only big churches and cathedrals can afford the service. The state securities are not encouraged by the federal government and can't protect. Now, Pastor Moore says things are falling apart in Nigeria if Fashola can be saying this with the wasting of lives in that Nigeria. And he goes on further to say, we will continue to pray for the deliverance of the innocent indigenous people inside the contraption Nigeria. And Pastor Mo finally says, amen for that prayer for Baba Awolowo. And we say amen to every one of you who have listened to us today. But Yomi, a quick one before we go. Now, that property that Tinubu's son bought, now, do you have information pertaining to how it was sold? Was it, made public that or auctioned and said that, well, this property is for auction. Any Nigerians who are interested in it, who have got the money, can come out and buy it, or it was just my son wants to buy a property, so then backdoor, and then they just give it to him at a knockdown price as well. What do you think?
Well, that is the question mark. Remember that Aluko is a criminal that the government is still looking for. And also, Dezeni is in UK, even though, he's not going anywhere at the moment. Dezeni was the Minister of Petroleum, so that have access to Aluko, that had a relationship with Dezeni. And they were able to siphon, some of the money that should have been returned after the sales of the crude oil. Aluko also bought some yachts and different things. But how did the property in question, the property behind, end up to be owned by Seyi Tinubu? This property was bought, according to Bloomberg, on the 2017. So that is about after Buhari came in and told us that, Aluko and some of the confiscated property have been in the possession. And you did ask whether it was auction. I don't think it was auction. It was just through the back door, because according to what I read with the report, the same company that Aluko was using has the same register address with one of the property that also Tinubu stays in London as well. So there's a kind of a link that this property was just probably sold quickly so that, it doesn't end up into the full hands of the government itself. And remember, the property was bought at $15 million and it was sold at $11 million. Those are, within the neighborhood that I spoke to. When I told them the market value of what was sold and what it was bought for, I was told that this market value is about 17 million pounds.
So the country has lost straight. Wow. Interesting. Well, listeners, Mr. Olayomi Koiki and Enough London Sales, I'm Archie here in the South Studios, and we brought you updates from Nigeria. Yomi, before we go.
Well, I leave you again in the hands of the Archie and the rest of the program today. I'll be back again same time tomorrow as we continue, the update on the petition tribunal that is going on in Abuja. For now, Starr Radio UK, the finest African and Caribbean radio. And we welcome you all back as we have a small conversation. I'm meant to be popping out, but it seems the key. I had a parcel that is meant to be collected, and that is now slowing me out in a house. Shout out to those of you on our MixLR and everyone on the Instagram. I'm going to move you away from here because you're actually in my face. So let's get this up. Once again, shout out to those of you on the Twitter and those that are still with us this particular time of the day. People are already at work. So that means that people are working in different capacity. I hope you are working as well in Nigeria. I hope you have a job. I hope you have something that you're doing. Because if you're not working, you're not contributing to the society. So, and Tobashisha, you're not contributing to the society. You're probably just waking up every day in Nigeria without contributing anything. And that itself does not help the brain. So I don't know how you all survive where you just wake up every day and then nothing seems to be working, So, but it is what it is. Nigeria has always been like that. There is no hope. The hope in Nigeria continues to fade. But Anto and Leni, we should shut up. There's nothing concern us with that. But that's fine. We can shut up. Moki, Yawa, Esther, Sonke, shout out to those of you who like to get antivirus or your laptop to come pop. Eshe Gbome Adebisi, Naira ti devalue, ó sì máa devalue sí. But I'm àwọn tó wà nílé, they don't want to hear all these things. Bàbá mi Sulaiman, Ọlọ́run bá wa pẹ̀lú yín o, Ọlọ́run àforíjì ìyá lálùbáríkà o, gbogbo tó fi sílẹ̀ pátá kò ní bàjẹ́ lójú yín o, Ọlọ́run bá ń dúró tì yín. I know you have been going through a lot after the death of your beautiful mother, Ọlọ́run bá ń fọ̀rọ̀ kẹ́wọn. Ṣàlàfíà lẹ́wà. Ṣé iṣẹ́ ti padà? Ìyàwó Comfort, mo kí ní Paris. Shout out to those of you on the big seller, which is the Roy. I woke up at about 4:30 and when you're there, stop. Mr. Tony Fadairo, breaking news, former Pakistan president has been arrested for corruption. What in Watele? No, he has always been somebody in question. Yawa Adiat Odewale Muki, Momiwa Christina Ademola Muki, Adam, Baoni Ghana, Che Ghana and Chondun, So Larin Laroy, Muki Momiwa Anike Aremu, Muki and Temilori Instagram. Alex Mamu 142 lo ṣígẹ̀lẹ̀ báyìí ṣé mi náà ni máa lọ jẹrin báyìí kémi náà tẹ̀ ní wéètì díẹ̀ lára mo kíyàwó mọ́míwá Fatima Mustapha Ọlákíyẹmí Yorùbá Nation no going back Mr. Ọlọ́runwájú Arówólò mo náà rẹ̀ mi kan tó ń jẹ́ Arówólò Títí Àjọlọ́sí Foundation tí mo ṣe ní London Metropolitan University. I think she lives in Southeast or somewhere around there. Bishop Adeshina will be on the program with us probably maybe before the end of the week. Àfi wá discuss nípa postcode Yorùbá. Ẹ mọ̀ pé ní ọ̀dọ̀ wa níbí a ní postcode. Ẹ dẹ̀ mọ̀ pé nígbà kan náà postcode wà ní different part of the regional government kó tó di pé wọ́n destroy ẹ̀. so àwọn Bishop Adesina ẹ̀gbọ́n mi Ṣẹ́gun ọ̀nà ṣé wẹ́dà wà lókè lọ́dọ̀ yín lọ mọ́mí wa mo dúpẹ́ Adigun mo kí yín Ọbánlá Ọlálẹ́yẹ Paul mo kí yín Pastor Paul kẹ Pastor Emmanuel Tọ́gbà àdúrà wa gbà so Bishop Adesina máa wá sórí show a máa wá discuss lórí postcode just the postcode alone ẹ̀ka sàn bàbá wa Pastor Emmanuel Tọ́gbà àdúrà wa gbà agbára Ọlọ́run gbogbo bẹ́ẹ̀ ṣe ń tì lọ́dọ̀ yín náà tí ẹ̀ ń sá gbogbo bẹ́ẹ̀ bá ṣe ń ṣàdúrà fáwọn èèyàn á máa jẹ́ torí pé fake pastor ti pọ̀ jù ẹ̀yin church ti yín ò dẹ̀ dàbí àwọn church ńláńlá tí àwọn èèyàn ní pé wá sọ́dọ̀ ti yín so ọmọ àrítọ́ bá rẹ̀ yín wá ní èrò pọ̀ lábẹ́ àwọn tó wo program yìí pẹ́ lómi ibi tẹ́rò bá pọ̀ sí ló ń lọ èrò wá wo ni ibi tẹ́rò bá pọ̀ sí ló máa lọ the weather is sunny ṣé tọ̀dọ̀ mi sunny ṣàbáì ẹ̀ ń sáré wò ẹ̀tẹ̀ ṣe wílò àtẹ́gùn fẹ́ sí mi bẹ́ẹ̀ àtẹ́gùn ló fẹ́ wọlé ẹ̀gbọ́n mi ẹ̀gbọ́n mi Yẹmí Fátókẹ́ wàhálà ìjọ sátọ̀dẹ̀ tí mo jáde jẹ́lẹ̀ ẹ̀gbọ́n mi tó send owó sí mi pé láti Nàìjíríà ni o ó ní pé kí n fi mu kọ́fì ọlọ́ba wà pẹ̀lú yín Manchester mò ń bọ̀ láìpẹ́ máa wá pẹ̀lú coach mo busy díẹ̀ pẹ̀lú àwọn ọmọ Oòduà so you know it's got a lot of work we're doing behind àwọn èèyàn mọ̀ pé mi náà ní family life bá ṣeré jàre Miami mo kí ẹ so kí ni mò ń sọ lọ ẹ ṣé gan ni Pastor Emmanuel bẹ́ẹ̀ ni èmi máa ń wo chọ́ọ̀chì yìí èrò ń pọ̀ níbẹ̀ chọ́ọ̀chì táwọn èèyàn fẹ́ lọ chọ́ọ̀chì tẹ́lẹ̀ ò pọ̀ táwọn ọmọ tó máa wọ aṣọ dẹ́mdẹ́m ìran máa gbẹ́mú síta but unfortunately ẹ̀yin dẹ̀ ti sọ̀rọ̀ Nàìjíríà ti pẹ́ kí tó mọ̀ ilẹ̀ ti sọ pé Nàìjíríà máa break ẹni tó bá mi tí mò ń sọ ẹ jẹ́ n play fídíò wọn kan fún yín kẹrin kò ń ṣe pé torí mò ń rí wọn ká tó mọ́ra làwọn tí ń sọ pé Nàìjíríà ò ṣe gbogbo àwọn pásítọ̀ yẹn lọ́mọ Pásítọ̀ Adébóyè mọ̀ pé Nàìjíríà ò lè ṣiṣẹ́ wàláì mo nífẹ̀ẹ́ bàbá yẹn gan mo ní láti get antivirus orí laptop mi o come pop up látẹ̀ nǹkan mi ẹ jẹ́ n gbé fídíò Pastor Emmanuel Tọ́gbà kan jáde ẹ̀gbọ́n tó sọ àwọn àti Pastor Adépọ̀jù kí n tó bẹ̀rẹ̀ kémi tó sọ̀rọ̀ Yorùbá nation àwọn yẹn tí ń sọ pé Nàìjíríà ò ṣe Nàìjíríà ẹ̀kọ́ ẹ̀pọ̀ àwọn máa sọ in a way èmi ò ní sọ báwọn ṣe sọ yẹn but àwọn ti sọ from the bí ẹ̀mí ṣe sọ fún wọn ẹ jẹ́ n kọ́kọ́ play ti nǹkan ṣe Pastor Adébóyè la fi play atẹ́gùn ti pọ̀ tó ń wọlé o láti lọ ti window yìí mo fẹ́ máa lọ ṣe bí ẹ̀gbọ́n mi tó wà ní Manchester ẹ jẹ́ n lọ wọnú profile mi máa lọ mú jáde nísìn videos Emmanuel Tọ́gbà ẹ̀gbọ́n fídíò wọn nísìn kí n tó mọ̀ wọn rárá làwọn ti sọ̀rọ̀ Yorùbá nation gbogbo àwọn church Nàìjíríà fi sọ̀rọ̀ àwọn ìdẹ̀lẹ́ ẹ̀kọ́ sọ̀rọ̀ jù hàn pé Pastor Tọ́gbà lélẹ̀ ẹja gbọ́ fídíò yìí jẹ́ni pé wọ́n tún mú flag dání kí ló dé tí bàbá wa Adébóyè náà lè mú flag Yorùbá nation dání ṣé ẹ̀ṣẹ̀ wà nínú kọ́ mú flag wa dání ṣé wọ́n kì í ṣe ọmọ Yorùbá ni ọmọ Yorùbá ni wọ́n náà ẹ yẹ kí gbogbo àwọn tanra wa ẹ wá ní káwọn ìwà kọ́ lọ wá ìgbàlà ti fẹ́ rí ìgbàlà à ń tanra wa ìgbàlà ò lè fẹ́ rí ẹja wo fídíò yìí ẹ rí pé Pastor Tọ́gbà nìyẹn Ìyá Dagboru gan kò mú flag dání báyìí Ìyá Dagboru mo ń bọ̀ mo ti plẹ̀ Ìyá Dagboru kò mú flag dání báyìí Pastor Emmanuel Tọ́gbà nìyẹn nínú ṣọ́ọ̀ṣì wọn ló mú Yorùbá flag dání ló ń fi báyìí kí ló dé tí bàbá wa G.O. kí ló dé táwọn náà lè mú dání bẹ́ẹ̀ tó bá mú dání bẹ́ẹ̀ gbogbo redeem tó wà ní gbogbo àgbáyé lẹ́sẹ̀kẹsẹ̀ àṣẹ́gun nìyẹn bọ̀tú ọ̀fẹ́ ṣe yẹn ẹ jẹ́ kí ọmọ wa ṣe ọmọ wa Tinubu ẹ̀gbọ́n kan tí bàbá mọ́mì mi dáadáa ìyá wa Abe aláì kò ní bàjẹ́ fún yín máa ń ti bá rí ìyá yẹn báyìí máa ń dúpẹ́ fún mi ìyá kan náà wá bẹ̀ tẹ́ ká máa dúpẹ́ fún ọbọ̀ ìyá yẹn ti ṣépè fún mi dáadáa sí mo fi máa dúpẹ́ fún wọn ó ti ṣépè fún mi torí pé mo sọ́pọ́ọ̀tì onítìrì yankí ni mọ́mì yẹn wà wọ́n rí mi dáadáa gẹ́gẹ́ bí ọmọ tó jẹ́ akíkanjú bọ̀ nísìnyí yóò sọ́pọ́ọ̀tì Ìyá Dagboru yẹn ọ́díò kan tó sẹ́ndì sí ni ní nànà get out èmi kọ́ lẹ́ ń ṣe fún laptop tẹ́ra fún wa ìbíṣẹ́ Yorùbá mi sọmọ fi ṣe ó yẹ kí n máa fi ṣiṣẹ́ mi ni kí n máa fi ṣe iṣẹ́ tó máa mówó wọlé bọ̀ iṣẹ́ Yorùbá Nation la fi ń ṣe náà ẹ já gbọ́ pásítọ̀ Tọ́gba ẹ já gbọ́ òun. ẹ má bínú pé ẹ imagine kí pásítọ̀ Adébóyè kọ́ fi bẹ́ẹ̀ yẹn kọ́ fi lọ báyìí kọ́ fi padà báyìí wàláì kọ́ má tẹ̀ sọ̀rọ̀ kọ́kọ́ fi flag yẹn lọ báyìí kọ́ fi padà báyìí we are all telling lies irọ́ ti pọ̀ jù ẹgbẹ́ ìjà gbá lọ́jà rí you know but at the end of the day ẹ wo ìyá Dagboru gan àárí kó fi flag báyìí rí abẹ́rí ìyá Dagboru tó wá dagbo gbogbo ẹ̀rú kò síbi kankan ta tiri tó mú flag dání báyìí tó wave ẹ̀ báyìí. àwọn èèyàn ní lọ sí irú ṣọ́ọ̀ṣì báyìí torí irú ṣọ́ọ̀ṣì báyìí wá ní kí ló wà nínú bẹ̀ ẹ lọ bá lọ wọ́n lórí Facebook àti YouTube gbàmí màá kàn jókòó bá máa wò wọ́n pé because àwọn èèyàn fẹ́ òótọ́ because ṣọ́ọ̀ṣì Yorùbá gangan lélẹ́yìí tí wọ́n ti ń sọ̀rọ̀ Yorùbá tí wọ́n ti ń sọ pé ìran Yorùbá gbọ́dọ̀ bọ́ nínú oko ẹrú ṣọ́ọ̀ṣì gbogbo àwọn ṣọ́ọ̀ṣì tó kù yẹn ṣọ́ọ̀ṣì Nàìjíríà ní gbogbo wọn gbọ́dọ̀ ra antivirus o agbọ́dọ̀ wọ́wọ́ tá a máa fi ra free to tin ó ní my postcode is NW2 in Ìbàdàn gbogbo ẹ̀ la máa sọ ẹ̀ máa ti Bishop Adesina wọ́n ti ṣe gbogbo program yẹn template gbogbo postcode different one so máa ń ṣe analysis ẹ̀ fún wa so wíìkì náà ni kò ní ju wíìkì lọ lágbọ́rọ̀ lọ́wọ́ àbọ̀rọ̀bọ̀ yẹn nísìn ẹ wo bí wọ́n ṣe ṣáwọn tó wà nínú ṣọ́ọ̀ṣì yẹn ṣé ní wọn ò ní dùn spirit wọn máa high ẹni káwọn èèyàn lọ sí kó wá lọ ó dìgbà tó bá dé heaven ẹni tó wà láyé tẹ́bí patíyà ń jẹ ẹ̀ ń sọ̀rọ̀ heaven sí heaven nìkan heaven ni heaven nìkan kọ́ lẹ máa rí Jerusalem tó bá yọ àwọn èèyàn tẹ́bí ń pa tíṣẹ́ mú ẹ̀ ń sọ̀rọ̀ kó wá kí wákàtí márùn níbo ló ti fẹ́ ráyè kí wákàtí márùn níbo ló ti fẹ́ ẹni máa kí wákàtí márùn ṣé ẹni kọ́kọ́ ṣàlàyé fún jùlẹ̀ tó sì kí ló ń sọ ó ní mo fẹ́ kí Mr. Adébóyè ọ̀sán Adébóyè kan lùsì political billions kí ló fẹ́ fowó ṣe kí làwọn fẹ́ fowó ṣe ẹ ká máa tọ́ra wa gbogbo à ń tọ́ra wa tó bá yá everybody máa wake up. kódà ó yẹ kí n máa lo fídíò ìléraléra nísìnyí because a sọ pé ìjẹ̀sìn kan la gbé dání ọ forí olókun ṣáàrí gbogbo ẹ̀tẹ̀ máa ń sọ gbogbo nọ́sẹ̀sì yẹn ṣáàrí fàṣírí ti tún nísìn because church England ni wọ́n gbókúta wá ẹ̀ nísìn rí kankan sọ sí gbogbo èyí ṣọ́ọ̀ṣì tí ẹ máa ń sọ fún wa pé orí olókun yẹn Ọlọ́run ò láìkẹ̀ orí olókun yẹn kò bá Ọlọ́run mu ṣáàrí fàṣírí gbogbo yìí ti tú àṣírí ti tú because ní UK níbà òkúta ló gbé wá sí ṣọ́ọ̀ṣì tí gbogbo wọn dúró tí tán ń ṣàdúrà fún òkúta ó rà pé mo ní nínú picture mi níbí báyìí yẹn wò bí a mo ní òkúta yẹn dànù ṣé mo ti fi sí ibà yẹn àjẹ́ lọ́mọ wa Destiny of Stone ń bọ̀.
lórúkọ Jésù ohun tá à ń fẹ́ ní òmìnira Yorùbá nation lórúkọ Jésù ọ̀run fìdí ẹ̀ múlẹ̀ lónìí. Yorùbá lágbára tó ní ìran Yorùbá ò ní kọ́ lórúkọ Olúwa fẹ̀mí wọn orúkọ. Láti Thursday láti pín fúláàgì ní orí òkè gbogbo ènìyàn látọ̀dọ̀ Mr. Koiki láti ìlú UK Koiki Media fúláàgì tẹ́ fi ránṣẹ́ sí wa àti gbà á àti pẹ́ lọ́wọ́ yín lágbára gbogbo alábọ̀dé ilẹ̀ yìí gbogbo wa gẹ́gẹ́ bí ìṣe wa ẹ̀dá máa kà pé Yorùbá nation láì bẹ̀ gọ́ọ̀mì tó parí àwọn òkè ilẹ̀ yìí Yorùbá nation no going back.
ṣé irú ṣọ́ọ̀ṣì bẹ́yàn òun ẹ lọ ṣé irú ṣọ́ọ̀ṣì pásítọ̀ Emmanuel Tọ́gba yẹn ṣé irú ṣọ́ọ̀ṣì yẹn òun ẹ lọ ṣọ́ọ̀ṣì tó máa lọ láàárọ̀ tó máa fi wàásù kún ẹ tí wàá dẹ̀ lọ tán wàá máa lọ síbi iṣẹ́ kí ló fẹ́ máa jókòó sínú ṣọ́ọ̀ṣì fún títí dalẹ́ gbẹ́gbẹ́ wa lọ síbi iṣẹ́ ó yá lọ síbi iṣẹ́ má lọ síbi iṣẹ́ tó bá tẹ̀ tí wá pásítọ̀ ní ibi iṣẹ́ mi nǹkan kan ṣe wàá gbàdúrà fún ẹ ó padà lọ síbi iṣẹ́ àbí kó lọ rìpọ́ọ̀tì fọ́gẹ́ ẹ. náà lọ ṣọ́ọ̀ṣì tí yàn kúrò níbi ṣọ́ọ̀ṣì tó síbi iṣẹ́ òkúta lélẹ̀ nísìn tí wọ́n sìn. Oh my God, mo ní láti wá solution sí laptop yìí o kó tó di pé ọmọ hijack mọ́ mi lọ́wọ́ fáírọ́ọ̀sì ti fẹ́ wá pọ̀ mọ́. Ìyá mi Yétúndé Flow mo kí yín. Ọkọ̀yà Fọláni Adébóyè will never do that because they are all working for the Western country. Western country òkúta lẹ́rí tágbẹ́tẹ̀ ìmájì gbogbo àwọn àlùfáà gidi ti ṣọ́ọ̀ṣì níbi UK wọ́n wá jókòó ti òkúta èèyàn lọ. Kódà ayé tá à ń gbé yìí ó tẹ̀ dá bá ṣe ayé tá à ń gbé yìí òun ló dáa jù. Òkúta kí ni significant òkúta yẹn? Full program ni mo ṣe lórí ẹ̀ ó wà lórí YouTube mi. Ìwọ tó ń gbọ́ mi tó máa ní ẹ Koiki orí olókun yẹn òun dà fúláàgì yẹn dànù. Ẹ jẹ́ mo jáde sí rẹ̀. Koiki ẹ bá má lórí olókun yẹn orí olókun yẹn ọ̀dà òun lè lé mi dé. Orí olókun ẹ bá má lórí olókun yẹn orí olókun tẹ lò yẹn àláìkì orí olókun àláìkì orí ẹ̀yin wèrè ẹ̀yin olòṣì burúkú ẹ rò pàwọ́ dàbí ẹ̀yin òkúta lágbó wá sí ṣọ́ọ̀ṣì nísìn tí gbogbo àwọn àlùfáà ńlá Ọlọ́run ló mọ irú báíbù tó ń ké sí lórí Ọlọ́run ló mọ tàdá tí àdá tó ń ké sí lórí Ọlọ́run ló mọ orí ètùtù tó ń ṣe sí lórí. Ẹ rò pàwọ́ stupid bí ẹ̀yin òkúta ẹ wá dúró àwọn èèyàn tó jókòó ti òkúta wọ́n ó tún ní security wọ́n tún fún òkúta ní security wọ́n gbọ́dọ̀ jí òkúta yẹn gbé àwa wá gbélé sórí flag tó tẹ̀ tún jẹ́ pé temporary pé tá a bá dẹ̀ délẹ̀ lérí wa lágbára Ọlọ́run á decide tá a bá fẹ́ á pé táwọn ọmọ ìṣe gbọ́dọ̀ fọ kíní yìí o gbọ́dọ̀ má dọ̀tí o ilé ìkẹrì special one dẹ̀ ni kò pọ̀ rárá mo fún mọ̀ sí mi lẹ́yọ kan mo rà pé mo fún wà látàná lẹ́yọ kan kò so bá rìn báyìí wá ni. Òkúta lásán pé a kò fi èrè orí olókùn rádà a fi sínú flag àwọn kan máa ní Ọlọ́run àwọn ríran Ọlọ́run ní kọ́ lọ yọ kúrò pásítọ̀ kan sọ bẹ́ẹ̀ ẹ kó jẹ́ gbàdàgbà lọ àwọn rẹ̀ fi máa dẹ́rù bà ẹ kó nọ́ńsẹ̀nsì kó jẹ́ gbàdàgbà lọ ẹ bá sọ yẹn fáwọn tó wà lé irú àwọn lẹ máa sọ yẹn fún èyí tó ń dá Yorùbá nation dúró ni nǹkan kan ọ̀dá yẹn kọ́ ló ń dá Yorùbá nation dúró tó bá yẹ gbogbo àmọ́ ọmọ ibi tá à ń lọ a máa kọrí sí ibi tá à ń lọ gidi ló ń dá Yorùbá nation dúró àwọn olè fi máa kàjọ tẹ bá ń kàjọ àwọn tẹ wà nílé ẹ lè kàjọ àwa o pásítọ̀ mọ̀ wọn kì í jàre àwọn pásítọ̀ nìyẹn a máa fi máa kàjọ wa kí ni Bishop Adesina sọ if it is a Yorùbá land they will say Satan demon ṣé wọ́n lè gbé òkúta lọ sí redeem ká lọ máa ṣàdúrà sí ẹ jẹ́ ká fi òtítọ́ sí ibi tó wà òkúta ọ̀rọ̀ yìí ó yẹ ká máa sọ lójoojúmọ́ fún yín ni kò ní bàjẹ́ fún ẹ it is King AY orí olókun la kàn fi sí flag ó di wàhálà wọ́n ti sọ Yorùbá nation wọ́n ti sọ di oníṣẹ̀ṣe ẹ̀yin wèrè ẹ̀yin mad people ẹ rò pàwọ́ dàbí ẹ̀yin tẹ́ wà lé ni ẹ ti deceive àwọn tó wà nílé ṣọ́ọ̀ṣì England lélẹ́yìí ṣọ́ọ̀ṣì England ẹ wo òkúta ẹ wé 152 kg lòkúta yẹn bẹ́ẹ̀ ni ìyá mi Pastor Mo àṣírí gbogbo wọn ti tú nísìnyí ẹ fi ẹ̀sìn ẹ fi bọ àwọn èèyàn mọ́lẹ̀ àwa wá ń pariwo kí a fẹ́ gbọ́ òmìnira ẹ wá fẹ́ sọ di ẹ̀sìn mọ́ wa lọ́wọ́ àwa ṣé religion wa ni. ẹ rò pé àwa stupid táwọn tó wà lé bá stupid àwa ò stupid àwa lè fẹ́ máa kó lómi ọbẹ̀ jẹ ẹ lè kọ́ àwa lómi ọbẹ̀ jẹ o mo kí bàbá wa ṣí tí ọmọ wùmí ẹ lọ́ọ̀kì kò ní bàjẹ́ fún ẹ̀yin tèmi lọ́hùn ìyàwó àtọmọ kan bẹ̀ bàbá àgbàlagbà you don see Ìgbòho jẹ́ sáré jẹ fún pàdé mi yẹn you don see Ìgbòho àmọ́ ojoojúmọ́ ni mo rí Ìgbòho má ti play nísìn ìwọ́n àjọ máa rí Ìgbòho nísìn torí tẹ̀ mọ́ efe play princess mi kọ́ ń bẹ̀ àlàáfíà ló wà má kọ́mẹ́ntì o ẹ kọ́mẹ́ntì mò ń bá sọ̀rọ̀ ni o oríṣiríṣi kóòdù máa fi bá wọn sọ. Adétúnjí òòṣà fún rẹ̀ àwọn ilé òòṣà gidi ìyàwó kọ́ ń bẹ̀ bàbá mi kò ní bàjẹ́ fún yín. Adétúnjí ẹ kí n pe bàbá yẹn ní sá Ọlọ́run títẹ̀ fóònù tí òkè mo tẹ̀ ẹ kí n pè wọ́n ní sá. Ṣé mọ̀ pé gbogbo bẹ́ẹ̀ ṣe máa ń pariwo òòṣà tẹ́yìn máa ń ṣe prógráàmù ìṣẹ̀ṣe àṣàṣírí ti tún nísìn òkúta ló gbé wá sí ṣọ́ọ̀ṣì wa ní England ní bíbá ìkan tó dé adé lórí ìyàwó mi sọ fún mi lánàá pé ẹjẹ àkọ́kọ́ play Johnson Igboho ẹjẹ àjọṣe play Johnson Igboho Johnson Igboho jẹ́ kọ́ mọ̀ ìyá mi kan fọ tológun jà mú kí Johnson Igboho princess ló nìyẹn òun wá ti wà confused ìfẹ́ yẹn ti pọ̀ jù jẹ́ kọ́ mọ̀ ni èrè tí Elédùmarè dá tó dá dáadáa àṣírí gbogbo orí ti tú pátá èyí tẹ̀ ń sọ fún wa owó ti tó ti tó orí kò sí òmíràn tí ìyá rẹ̀ lọ àjò ìdá ilé ẹ̀jẹ̀ ká sọ́kọ̀
òmìnira Yorùbá nation lórúkọ Jésù ọ̀run fìdí ẹ̀ múlẹ̀ lónìí. Gbogbo alágbára tó ní ìran Yorùbá ò ní kọ́ lórúkọ Olúwa fẹ̀mí wọn orúkọ. Láti Thursday láti pín fúláàgì ní orí òkè gbogbo ènìyàn látọ̀dọ̀ Mr. Koiki láti ìlú UK Koiki Media fúláàgì tẹ́ fi ránṣẹ́ sí wa àti gbà á àti pẹ́ lọ́wọ́ yín lágbára ọlọ́run gbogbo alájọdé ilẹ̀ yìí gbogbo wa gẹ́gẹ́ bí ìṣe wa ẹ̀dá máa kà pé Yorùbá nation láì bẹ̀ gọ́ọ̀mì tó parí àwọn òkè ilẹ̀ yìí Yorùbá nation no going back.
Kí ló ṣe tí àwọn chọ́ọ̀chì tó kù náà lè ṣe bí bàbá ẹ̀ ṣe ṣe? Bẹ́ẹ̀ ni mọ́mí wa àwọn àgbà Anglican ló jókòó ti òkúta ẹ̀. Mọ́mí kí ló ń ẹja aṣojú òpó +40 kí ló ń wò nínú òkúta ẹ̀ náà kí ló ń ṣé wọ́n ń pe gègègè sí lára ni àbí báwo? Mo charge fóònù ìṣá 15% ká bèsè lẹ́dùnmáà rẹ̀. Ẹ̀ka ìmọ̀ lọ charge ẹ̀. Ẹ̀ka sáré charge ẹ̀. Ó yẹ kí n jáde nísìnyí mo lè jáde. Osman tó fún wa píkì kankan tí ìjẹ́ fi jáde báyìí. Àìpégbà tí ìrẹ̀ bá lè jáde nísìnyí. Ìwọ́n jókòó máa bú Koiki o. À ń sọ òtítọ́ fún ẹ. Èmi ni kò máa bú lójoojúmọ́. Jẹ́mi ni mo bà Nàìjíríà jẹ́. Jẹ́mà tán pínlẹ̀ Nàìjíríà. Jẹ́wọ́ nèmi àti Sunday Igboho àti Bàbá Akíntóyè. Jẹ́wọ́ náà la bà Nàìjíríà jẹ́. Ó kì í máa chájẹ̀ lára láptọ̀pù nígbà. Bàbá rẹ̀ ló fẹ́ pè wọlé. Ṣé èmi ni mo bà Nàìjíríà jẹ́? Àbí wọ́n ní bàbá mi nígbà tó wà láyé ṣé bàbá mi dàbí MK Abíọ́lá tó bà Nàìjíríà jẹ́? Àwọn àgbà Anglican àwọn lọ́jọ́kọ̀ yìí àwọn àgbààgbà Anglican àbú Kristẹni o àbú Mùsùlùmí ìta sọ ni pé àníká value tọ̀dọ̀ tiwa náà ẹ má máa jẹ́ ká rọ́bíṣẹ̀. Mo gbọ́ history Ethiopia ní àárọ̀ ìbí ṣe ń clean nínú ilé tí mo ń tidy up mo ń hoover mo á gbé kinní ẹ̀ sétí Italy yẹn náà ṣe jàǹbá gan fún Ethiopia o Italy ẹja gbọ́ látẹnu Bishop Adesina hello bàbá.
ẹ kú iṣẹ́ Koiki.
èmi ni ẹ sà.
olórí burúkú gbáà ni ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ àwọn pásítọ̀ ilẹ̀ Nàìjíríà.
bẹ́ẹ̀ni ẹ ṣì sọ rárá wàhálà.
especially àwọn Yorùbá.
ẹ ṣì sọ rárá.
tí wọ́n ti pọ̀ jù. in Israel ní temple yẹn tí everybody máa ń lọ.
bẹ́ẹ̀ni.
àwọn Jewish rabbi during orientation tí a ti gbà lọ́wọ́ wọn rí tó dẹ̀ fi hàn wá nínú Bible tá a rí àti nkàtẹ́lẹ̀ àmọ́ wọ́n tún fi hàn wá rán wa létí. Òkúta kan wà ní àárín gọ̀gọ̀gọ̀gọ̀ tẹ́ḿpìlì yẹn, the ancient Jewish temple tó sì wà bẹ́ẹ̀ tó lọ máa ń wárí fún yẹn. Òkúta méjì ni precious stone, kò sẹ́ni tó lè àwọn Júù nìkan ló mọ sport bẹ̀, kò sẹ́ni tó lè lọ fọwọ́ kàn. Ábúráhámù ló gba òkúta yẹn. Wọ́n dẹ̀ gbé lé ọwọ́ àwọn ọmọ wọn títí tó fi lórí Mósè wọ́n reserve ẹni títọ́ fi kọ́ tẹ́ḿpìlì, that temple tó dẹ̀ gbé síbẹ̀. Ó fi hàn wá nínú Báíbù ibi tó ti sọ̀rọ̀ lórí òkúta yẹn. And now Moses has them to keep it. Mósè fúnra rẹ̀ tún gba àwọn òkúta ní Ọlọ́run tó kọ ọ̀rọ̀ sí látòrí òkè tí Mósè tún ti bá àwọn alálẹ̀ sọ̀rọ̀ tó tún gbé òkúta padà wálẹ̀.
Abẹ́sẹ̀ lẹ́dùnmáà.
Now, ní ibi báyìí ẹnu ọgbà ó ní àwọn pásọ̀ míì tó jẹ́ pé a tún lè bá wọn sọ̀rọ̀ because sọ pé àwọn fake pastor làwọn eléyìí àwọn bishop kọ́ máa ń pè wá ní fake bishop or fake pastor because we saw what you people are doing is not exactly what is in the Bible. You people are colonized with religion. You are hypnotized and you keep using this lie to hypnotize our ọmọ ọjọ́. And the most funny thing is that they are aggressive about it. When you try to educate them or change it, they are very aggressive about it. So I saw it as hypnotism. Olórí burúkú gbà làwọn pásítọ̀ wọ̀nyẹn. Ìmí inú wọn tó bá tún dé ìjọ òtítọ́ tó rí òtítọ́ báyìí. He will decided we have to keep the doctrine of our church. That shows that you people did not have faith. Ẹ ò ní ìgbàgbọ́ doctrine lẹ́ ń ṣe. Àgbékalẹ̀ èèyàn kan lẹ́ ń follow you. Ẹ ní ìgbàgbọ́ you don't follow you are all hypnotists using Bible to lie. Ní UK yẹn òkúta tẹ́ ẹ rí yẹn they call it stone of destiny. Òkúta ìṣẹ̀dálẹ̀ tiwọn ni ó ní í ṣe pẹ̀lú àwọn baba ńlá wọn. Wọn ò lè jọba láì gbé òkúta yẹn síta.
Kábíyèsí lẹ́dùnmáà rẹ̀.
Òun náà máa fi ta àṣẹ fún ọba wọn tó jẹ queen àti ẹni tó máa gbé orí adé yẹn. Òun náà máa fi ta àṣẹ fún kọ́ tó gbókúta yẹn wọlé padà. Òkúta mélòó làwa ní nílẹ̀ Yorùbá tó jẹ́ pé ọmọ Yorùbá máa ní èṣù ni èṣù ló wà bẹ́ẹ̀. Let me keep quiet.
Ẹ ṣe gan ni. Ẹ jẹ́ ká gbọ́ láti Andrew Venstoke àwọn tó gbókúta yẹn wá lélẹ̀ ẹ jẹ́ àgbọ̀n tó sọ bíbẹ̀.
Stone of Destiny has completed its journey from Edinburgh Castle to Westminster Abbey ahead of the coronation of King Charles. The stone is an ancient symbol of the monarchy historically used in the coronation of Scotland's king.
On the streets of Aldershot, 700 members of the military practiced to ensure absolute precision come Coronation Day. For each guardsman, officer and musician, there will be a chance to play a part in history, taking their place in an 8,000-strong procession that will escort the King and Queen from Buckingham Palace to Westminster Abbey and back again.
It is a complex operation, but we've been able to really, go into the detail, leave no stone unturned, and issue some really comprehensive orders. And what we're seeing over the next few days is the rehearsal of those orders, and that will all come together in various rehearsals ready for Coronation Day.
The climax of the ceremony has arrived.
70 years have passed since the Queen was crowned. On Saturday at Westminster Abbey.
Ẹ wo bí tí Queen ìjókòó sí náà, òkúta wà lábẹ́ o, mo kàn fẹ́ kẹ́ mọ̀ ní o.
On Saturday at Westminster Abbey, it will be her son's turn to take centre stage on an occasion steeped in centuries of tradition.
Ẹ wo òkúta tá à ń sọ yìí ló ń ṣe sábìsì Ọlọ́run máa kó sí òwúrò báyìí. It's a good time pa wà láyé torí pé tó bá yẹ pa sí láyé tó wá ń sọ nǹkan báyìí fún yàn ìyàn fẹ́ dispute ẹ̀ wá ṣeré it is King AY plus 44 74 044 05917. Mọ́mí wa Comfort Ológúnjà ni we never value our own culture and inheritance That is why the power in Yoruba land is fading away. Láàrin Lámínà ní yes, Baba. Well done, my big brother. Ìyàwó Christina. Sáfíìsì ni wọ́n ń ṣe fún òkúta súnmọ́ bí kò wá wọn tó ń lọ jàre. Oníbọn ṣe pọ́n òkúta yẹn lé. Òkúta ní security bó ṣe wà yẹn. Wá dúró èèyàn tó ń ṣe sáfíìsì fún òkúta ní 2023. Mr. Bode Thomas, mo kí Abraham Black, mo kí lẹ́ǹkan sí i. Ṣé princess ṣàlàáfíà ló wà? Bébì mi kọ́ ń bẹ̀. You don't see Igboho. It's just sad that we got to where we are. Ẹlòmíì tó bá gbọ́ ìṣẹ̀ṣe báyìí, wọ́n máa sá lọ ni. Ẹ wá wo sáfíìsì ẹja wo together. Wàá ṣeré Ọlákúnlé Prince Ayọ̀ mú kí.
And with just 1 week to go, a service was held to mark the arrival of...
A service was held. Ẹ rí pé ọ̀rọ̀ tí mo sọ yẹn ó lọ in tabs. Ó yẹ kíyàn download the video, kíyàn tọ́jú ẹ̀ fọjọ́ ọ̀la. Ẹ wo òkúta yẹn bó ṣe rí. Kọ́ tó gbé kúrò ní Edinburgh, wọ́n ṣe ètùtù ẹ̀. Nígbà tó tún gbé dé bíbà, wọ́n tún ṣe ètùtù. Ètùtù ni wọ́n ń ṣe lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́ bẹ́ẹ̀ bá mọ̀ yìí. Princess Adébímpé grandma wọ́n ní colonization ti da orí àwọn ọpọlọ rú. Bàbá mi John Ogundele ẹ̀yin gbé ní UK dáadáa 20 years lẹ́nu níbi kí Ọlọ́run tó fà yín pé kẹ́ máa. Àwọn ilé tí ń sọ pé Nàìjíríà máa pín bàbá yìí Ọlọ́run ó ń ṣe pé torí mo rí wọn lórí platform. Kí tó mọ̀ pé Nàìjíríà máa pín làwọn tí ń sọ pé Nàìjíríà máa Ọlọ́run ló mọ bí náà ti ń sọ. Bó wọn ní fún wọn láyè tó bá ti sọnù pépà nìkan. But technology tó délédè ló jẹ́ kí ọ̀rọ̀ Yorùbá nation kó tayọ. Àwọn kan ní ẹ jẹ́ ká jẹ́ kí Tinubu ṣe ná ta ló dìmú tẹ́lẹ̀ àdìmúlẹ́pọ̀n ni ẹlẹ́pọ̀n jíjò drug baron tọ̀lé bàbá tọ̀lé jágàròdì. Ta ló di Tinubu mú? À ń sọ̀rọ̀ pé àní kí ayé wa lè lọ sí tẹ̀síwájú. Òkúta ni wọ́n ń ṣe sáfíìsì fún yìí. Tábádọ́dọ̀ àwọn olóòṣà náà nísìn tó ń bọ òkúta. À ń sọ pé tó ń bọ yẹn ò dáa, ẹ má bọ òkúta o. No, mọ́mí mi comfort. Ṣé a máa sọ pé àwọn eléyìí wọ́n ń bọ èṣù àbí kí la máa ní wọ́n ń bọ náà? Ọ̀rọ̀ ẹ̀ ọ̀tẹ̀ ó kọ́ mi lẹ́nu kò tẹ̀ yé mi. Ọlọ́run mà ló ní kí ló ẹ wá sí UK ṣá. Kò sẹ́ni tó wà Nàìjíríà gan-an ó dà pé kò bìlíìfù tí mò ń sọ pé òkúta mà lọ́nà ṣe sáfíìsì fún ìkẹ́. Táwọn bá dẹ̀ lọ sí Ọ̀ṣun Òṣogbo àwọn máa complain. Mo kí bàbá wa ní Olúwa, mo máa kí gbogbo ẹ̀yin olú bàbá wa ní Olúwa kẹ̀. Azeez Shakiru mo kí ẹ. Pastor Money, did you see what I sent to you on WhatsApp, Koiki? There was a black apparel man. Another one tún nìyẹn. Ṣé mọ̀ pé níjọ́ yẹn nǹkan kan tún jáde lẹ́yìn? Kí ló pe kí ló kọ kí nìyẹn náà? What was behind the wọ́n ní kí nìyẹn tún freeze audio BBC. What was behind the scene at Abbey Church? Jack the Ripper. Kìíní kan lọ pé nǹkan kan jáde lẹ́yìn nígbà tó ń ṣe program yẹn lọ. Kìíní kan Ripper ni ẹ̀jẹ̀ ń gbé kọ́ọ̀lù. Àgbàlagbè ẹgbẹ́ òsókè. Bàbá ètò màá nìyẹn kẹ.
Ṣé ọ̀rọ̀ òkúta tẹ mú wáyé ẹni tó bá ní ìṣẹ̀ṣẹ̀ òsì òkúta òun tan ara ẹ̀ jẹ ni. Ṣé òkúta tẹ gbé wáyé ló jẹ́ kí n rántí òkúta táwa gan ní nínú fámìlì wa.
Ẹgbẹ́ náà lókúta.
Dáàdì mi tí mo dẹ̀ sọ fún yín, ìmáàmù ni tó máa ń lídìí irun. Ìmáàmù, odidi ìmáàmù níbẹ̀ ti bàbá ẹ̀ ọdẹ ni. Fámìlì wa Ògúndélé là ń jẹ́ Ògún ní fámìlì wa. Ìdílé Ògún ni mo ti jáde. So òkúta yẹn, òun làwa máa ń bọ àṣírí Ògún nínú ilé wa. A rí mọ́lẹ̀ síwájú ilé wa báyìí. Nígbà òkúta tí mo sọ yẹn, Mr. Koiki, ẹ̀yin gan lẹ tó wá rẹ́ mi torí nígbà tí mi ti kú ọ̀lù sí èmi máa ń fún ọ lówó pé ẹ bá mi bọ Ògún nílé ni. Òkúta tó bá dẹ̀ fẹ́ bá mi bọ Ògún, òkúta ẹni bí Ògún, òkúta ẹni tí máa ń bá mi bọ. Àyàfi tèmi gan bá fẹ́ ṣe ní tèmi bíbà ẹ̀ tí bá fẹ́ bọ Ògún fúnra mi, máa ṣe níbi mọ́tò mi, máa ṣí bọ́nẹ́tì ẹ̀yìn máa bọ́ níbi iwájú mọ́tò. So gbogbo àwọn tí ò bá mọ nípa kinní tí ò mọ kinní yìí pé kinní wà, wọ́n kàn jara wọn síra. Ó pẹ̀lú tó kó àwọn ẹlòmíì sí wàhálà. torí nǹkan ṣẹṣẹ ilé wọn ti gbà gbẹ. ẹ jẹ́ kí n sọ story kan fún yín Mr. Koiki nígbà tí bàbá wa bàbá tó bí dáàdì tèmi nígbà tó kú nǹkan kan wá ń ṣẹlẹ̀ ní ilé wa ẹ pé òun àfẹ́tì family wa wọ́n wá lọ béèrè sí pé kí ni nǹkan tó ń ṣẹlẹ̀ ní ilé yẹn àwọn aṣọ wípé òkè kí bá dáàdì wa lọ kó lọ dẹ igbó kó dẹ ẹ mọ̀ bá ti máa ń dẹ ogun gbẹ̀yẹn wọ́n lọ pẹran nígbó yẹn kó lọ kó gba àwọn ọlọ́dẹ jọ wípé bàbá yẹn ó nídìí kan pa ẹran kan lọ dẹ igbó fún pé bàbá yẹn máa ń sọ ọdẹ tẹ́lẹ̀ ní kó tó kú pé bàbá yẹn ó dà pé wọn wàá pẹran wọn nídìí láti dẹ igbó fún wọn máa ń pè ní ẹni tó bá ń gbọ́ nǹkan tí mo sọ wọn máa ń pè ní wọn fẹ́ sí ipa wọn máa ń pè wọn fẹ́ sí ipa ìpa ló máa ń pè so a ní láti sí ipa fún bàbá yẹn nígbà tá a fẹ́ lọ dẹ igbó alákọ̀ọ́kọ́ gbogbo ọdẹ tó wà níbi àdúgbò ní village yẹn pátápátá tó wà sọ̀rọ̀ ní village yẹn la lọ kó jọ kó oríṣiríṣi ìbọn jáde anything so nígbà tá a fẹ́ lọ dẹ igbó alákọ̀ọ́kọ́ a lọ bọ ògún yẹn òkúta yẹn kékeré báyìí ni o a lọ bọ òkúta yẹn so òkúta yẹn ó lè fọwọ́ kan gbé nígbà tá a lọ bọ òkúta yẹn wọ́n sọ pé abọ́ wọn da obì wọ́n sì ló gbẹ wọ́n ní ká lọ nígbà tá a máa wọnú igbó yẹn Mr. Koiki ọdẹ tá a kó tó kó ìbọn dání àwọn ọdẹ tó kó ìbọn dání wọ́n lé ní 50 bí a ṣe kó ajá gbogbo ẹ̀ ká kó kíní dání Mr. Koiki a pa ẹyẹ wálé. Meanwhile, àdẹ̀sí oúnjẹ ṣẹ́bìtì fún gbogbo àwọn aráàlú àpá ẹyẹ àtúní láti padà tí ọdẹ bá yìnbọn sí ẹran báyìí ó ti bìlí kó òun pa ẹran yẹn tó bá máa débẹ̀ kò ní rẹ́ran yẹn mọ́. kò ní pa ẹran tó pa yẹn tó bá jẹ́ ọ̀yà ló pa ni bọ́ jẹ́ ẹ̀tù ni bọ́ jẹ́ gàlà ni tó bá débẹ̀ tó bá lọ gbé kò ní tó ń pa yìí kó òun gbé báyìí kò ní bá bẹ̀ mọ́ èyí tó mo wà ìwé tí mo wà bẹ́ẹ̀ ni o. so àtúwá lọ lẹ́lẹ́kejì àtúnú ọjọ́ mi àtúnṣe mi again Mr. Koiki àtúnlọ the same variation ṣe àṣeyẹ tó da ìwọ ṣùgbọ́n ògùn yẹn àtúnpa kankan wá wọ́n ní pé bàbá yẹn sì bínú ní kókùn kankan tó yẹ ká ṣe fún nígbà ògùn yẹn ó ti pẹ́ tá ti bọ́ tipẹ́ so pé ó tún ní nǹkan kan tó ṣe ká ṣe fún àtúnṣe wa á lọ sí kinní yẹn àtúnwá lọ gbọ́ ògùn yẹn ìgé nídìí òkúta yẹn gbọ́gbọ́n ìgé a sì wá lọ bàtà wá lọ first born daddy wa gbọ́gbọ́n.
mo kí ẹ̀gbọ́n mi Ọlátúnjí ó fẹ́ sọ ṣàlàfẹ́ ẹ̀ lẹ́wọ̀n sà ẹ̀ka ẹ̀ tó ẹ̀ máa sọ ẹ̀ má bínú sorry.
first born daddy ya first born wa gbọ́gbọ́n tó jẹ́ ọkùnrin tóun náà gbé bàdá ní òun ló kọ́kọ́ pa ẹran níjọ́ yẹn.
abèsè.
ó wá tó di pé gbogbo àwọn ọdẹ yòókù náà wá pa ẹran tá a pa lọ́jọ́ yẹn ní ilé ká ní ẹlẹ́ẹ̀kẹta ni o.
ó yé mi.
so ó fi hàn pé òògùn ti gbàǹkà fẹ́ òkúta tí mo sọ yìí wọ́n bẹ́ẹ̀ bí tá a rí mọ́lẹ̀ báyìí tá a rí mọ́lẹ̀ sí o. tá a ń bọ́ every day a máa ń bọ́ ni lẹ́yìn tàbí bá ti fẹ́ bọ òògùn yòókù tá a la máa ń lọ. òkúta yẹn dẹ̀ ní bó ṣe wà yẹn kò sẹ́ni tó lè lọ wú mi tó wà yẹn kò sẹ́ni tó lè lọ gbé ẹni tó lè lọ gbé ni ẹni dádì wa náà àti dádì wa jẹ̀ ti kún sí irú àwọn táwọn òpèlè àti kò lẹ́gbẹ̀ẹ́.
ẹ ti wá fa gbùrù lẹ́gbẹ̀lẹ́kì lájà àṣà ẹ wá mọ̀ kó tó bá jẹ́ pé ìlú da ṣe mọ̀ pé èèyàn ní láti lọ sẹ́kù ìlú ò stable náà ni gbogbo ìṣe kúrò èyí tẹ́ kúrò nílùú wá sẹ́kù ìlú ò gbádùn náà ni nígbà tí ìgbà tó bá ń ṣọdún nìkan ní gbogbo àwọn èèyàn padà sí Ìjẹ̀bú-Òde gbogbo ẹ̀ máa wá dá lọ́lọ́lọ́lọ́lọ́lọ́ àwọn èèyàn máa look forward sí tó bá ti ń ṣe event kò jẹ́ kó rí bẹ́ẹ̀ kò jẹ́ kó rí bẹ́ẹ̀ pressure wá wà lẹ́kọ̀ọ́ àwọn ń complain ṣé wàá mọ̀ pé àwọn ará Èkó náà máa ń pọ̀ yìí tẹ jẹ́ aráàlú òkè o bọ́n máa ní àwọn ọmọ Èkó àwọn wọ́n máa ń bóyí gidi ní ọmọ wọn ní ìbílẹ̀ òkè ni wọ́n ti wá are we not the same ìkọ́kọ́ náà kan ní gbogbo wa ní tábàtẹ̀ ń bọ́ àwọn ọmọ Ìgbò ṣé ẹ̀ka tó máa bóra wa a ní ọmọ lókè ni ọmọ lókè ni.
ẹ jẹ́ wá sọ̀rọ̀ ọkọ mi Mr. Koiki ọmọ lókè tó wá gbẹ́jọ́ mi Èkó lọ.
ìyẹn náà ní.
ọmọ lókè ló padà kó ọmọ Èkó lẹ́rú.
kábíyèsí lẹ́dùnmáà rẹ̀.
àyà tọ́lọ́wọ́ Bangadi Lagos ọmọ lókè náà ń pè ní ọmọ lókè yẹn òun ló padà kọ́.
Thank God for technology. Wàláì.
ṣé Tinubu jọ mi Èkó ni? Fáṣọlá tó rúdù wọn lẹ́kọ̀ọ́ sọ́jọ́ mi Èkó ni.
ló bá tán.
Àmọ̀dé tó rúdù wọn lẹ́kọ̀ọ́ sọ́jọ́ mi Èkó ni. tó wà bẹ́ẹ̀ sí sọ́jọ́ mi Èkó.
ló bá ti tán. a dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ tani Ọlọ́run let's go thank you.
pé ìṣẹ̀ṣe wọn àbí ìṣẹ̀ṣe ṣeré. àní bàbá tó bí èmi lọ́mọ ìmáàmù ni tó máa ń lídìí irun tó máa ń kírun fún wọn tó jẹ́ ìmáàmù tó yẹ pé tí wọ́n bá rí wọn lè kírun adẹ̀ tó ń bọ Ògún nílé wa ń jẹ́bọ anything nílé wa. Ṣé tó bá yẹ pé òun bílíìfù lórí pé ìṣẹ̀ṣe ò sí tó ó máa lọ tó yẹ pé ó mọ̀ pé ìrun kéèyàn kírun nìkan kéèyàn sáfà nìkan lòún mọ̀ ni tó máa lọ bọ Ògún yẹn. So nǹkan ti ṣe àwọn nǹkan ti ṣe fámìlì mi tí wọn mọ̀. Nǹkan ti ṣe fámìlì mi because gbogbo àwọn kíní kò sí kílé tí ò ní kò sí fámìlì kankan tí ò ní gbogbo àwọn ìṣesí yẹn. Ẹ̀jẹ̀ lómi ti pé jùlọ. Mr. Koiki tí bá mo fẹ́ support ìkan fún yín. Níjọ́ tí mo bá ti bọ Ògún yẹn Mr. Koiki tí mo bá ti ní ẹyẹ bá mi bọ Ògún yẹn. Mo fi títóbi Ọlọ́run búra ní yí ẹ̀yẹn kalẹ̀ blessing ló máa wọlé left and right. Tí mo bá ti lè bọ Ògún yẹn báyìí ní wíìkì tí mo bá ti lè bọ Ògún yẹn tán báyìí láti wíìkì yẹn báyìí blessing ló máa wọlé tí ìwà lọ́dún lóṣù. Bẹ̀tí gbogbo ẹ̀kọ́ lọ́mọ kìíní yẹn orò ìdílé tiwa nìyẹn kálukú ló lóró ìdílé wọn gbogbo nǹkan tó wà lẹ́yìn ẹ̀yin tẹ́ wà lẹ́yìn odi tẹ́yìn náà bíi tẹ́ ẹ̀ mọ̀ pé ní kíni ẹ lọ go find out. Gbogbo kíní tá a ti kọ́lẹ̀ ló jẹ́ kí ìṣẹ̀ṣẹ̀ máa sá lọ mọ́ gbogbo òwúrọ̀ òkúta tẹ́ ẹ̀ sọ ẹni sábẹ́ ó lè jẹ́ Nàìjíríà náà àwọn òyìnbó ẹ̀ka ti gbé.
Ó ní street tí ẹ.
Kò sẹ́ni tó máa lọ bí tẹ́tí gbé kò sẹ́ni tó máa lọ bí tẹ́tí gbé gbogbo tó tẹ́ni tó wà yóò tó yẹn. Ìlú àwọn aláwọ̀ dúdú náà ti lọ lọ síbẹ̀ yẹn wọ́n níbi ìfún wọn.
Ẹja máa bẹ́ tó nìṣó ẹ ṣé gan ni bàbá wa mo ṣé gan ni. Mo kí gbogbo wa lẹ́ẹ̀kan sí mo kí bàbá wa Olúwatọ́lá mo kí Bafex bí ṣe máa ń sọ we are not here ní confrontation pẹ̀lú APC ní confrontation pẹ̀lú PDP nídàwọ̀ pẹ̀lú Peter Obi àmọ́ àwọn wà concern of who we are. Kẹ́lẹ̀ bá mọ̀ pé I might not be able to play because èmi kọ́ mo ní màá share link ẹ̀ síta ẹ̀jẹ̀ lọ sínú history mi. Gbogbo tí mo fi tidy up inú ilé no orí ìwé ẹ̀kọ́ mo ti wò ó orí ok mo ti mọ ibi tí mo ti wò ó kò ní wá sí bíbá ẹ̀jẹ̀ lọ mú link ń jáde ìyẹn ẹ̀jẹ̀ play ilé padà ìyẹn kíní history Ethiopia tí mo gbọ́ ẹran tí ẹran ló kọ́kọ́ jáde nígbà yẹn tí gbogbo wa ń pariwo pé ẹran kẹ̀ láti bo síbo irú ẹran wọlé léyìí tí gbogbo wa bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ń sọ pé ṣé wọ́n tún ń ṣètùtù ẹran ní kíní kan I'm sure everybody remembers that mo fẹ́ share link okay I might even bring it here fídíò kan tí mo wò lórí YouTube fídíò yẹn àwọn European country wọ́n ti ṣe jàmbá gan-an ṣe mọ̀ pé Nàìjíríà làwọn kò máa ń pariwo nígbà tí mo lọ gbọ́ a bit of background Haile Selassie the God Emperor of Ethiopia tí mo fi tidy up inú ilé tán òun ni mò ń gbọ́ òun lélẹ̀ ẹni tó bá fẹ́ lọ gbọ́ṣẹ̀ pútẹ̀ ó ṣẹ̀ wà lórí YouTube ní 3 months ago èmi kọ́ mo ní fídíò yẹn so nílè lo fídíò yẹn púpọ̀ ẹ lọ farabalẹ̀ ẹ lọ gbọ́ fídíò yìí kódà intitali ṣe fún Ethiopia òun ló lọ lọ́nkàn yẹn mo ṣeré o maize gold àní gbọ́mọlá fún ṣe ní fake Christianity already destroy Yorùbá land báwo la ṣe máa wá tidy up àárín yẹn gbọ́mọlá túnjà ó fẹ́ sọ báwo la ṣe fẹ́ tidy ẹ má bínú pé mo kàn ń yà bàrà kiri lẹ́nu nígbà tí mo gbọ́ mo nílé ìpínlẹ̀ púpọ̀ gbọ́ kákọ̀ gbọ́ díẹ̀.
Even more significant were the attempted economic and social reforms which were introduced during the reign of Empress Zewde II and the regency of Tafari. Already the first electricity grids had been introduced to Addis Ababa in the mid-1910s.
Ẹ̀gbọ́n Addis Ababa ti ní electricity grid in the 1910s.
And this was expanded outwards in the 1920s. At the same time, efforts were initiated to begin linking the main cities with roads.
Ìyá mà ti jẹ wá gan-an. Ẹ fi ọ̀rọ̀ ṣó ẹ kórí bẹ́ẹ̀ sílẹ̀ ṣáwọn yẹn ń sọ ọ̀kan tó nílà à ń sọ ọ̀kan tó nílà káyè nínú ẹ̀ ń sọ̀rọ̀ ṣó ẹ kórí bẹ́ẹ̀ ọ̀rọ̀ ṣó ẹ kórí bẹ́ẹ̀ lórí tó wà ní program. A lè fi ṣó ẹ kórí bẹ́ẹ̀ sílẹ̀ tó bá ṣó ẹ kórí bẹ́ẹ̀ á padà wá sílé torí ẹ bá pé ọ̀rọ̀ ṣó ẹ kórí bẹ́ẹ̀ là ń sọ. Àná à ń sọ̀rọ̀ Ethiopia bẹ́ẹ̀ wọ́n èmi ò tẹ́ ẹ mọ̀ pé Ọ̀túnba Adékúnlé mo kí mo mọ̀ pé Italy ṣe jàǹbá a máa wá síbẹ̀ yẹn náà bẹ́ẹ̀ ká ṣe focus lórí ẹran ewúrẹ́ funfun tó bá ní kéèyàn lọ pàgbò funfun ní sani kí la fẹ́ pàgbò funfun fún o ẹ rántí pé ìyá Dagboru yẹn tó sọ pé àwọn bàbá tí tó yẹn wọ́n pa ẹran dúdú oh my God òun lọ lọ́run rán Anyway, ẹ já padà sí bíbá mo fẹ́ dìde lórí chair mi briefly màá padà kó tó di pé kíní máa tán ẹ já máa jọ gbọ́ lọ mọ́ bọ̀.
Centuries of tradition. And with just 1 week to go, a service was held to mark the arrival of the Stone of Destiny from Edinburgh, an ancient symbol of Scotland's monarchy.
It was the item used at the inauguration of Scotland's kings right up until the end of the 13th century. And it was removed by King Edward I in his hope to try and stop that process happening. And it stayed in this chair that he built in Westminster Abbey. And it was used at every coronation right up to Elizabeth II. And then about 25 years ago, it was returned to Scotland, and it lives in Edinburgh Castle. But the plan has always been that it should come to the coronation again when needed.
Many of those rehearsing here have only just returned from operations and training exercises overseas. But preparations have been underway for 7 months, ready for a procession which will be watched by the world. Every element orchestrated and executed to ensure not a single step is out of place.
Irọ́ padà sẹ́yìn mi tí wà satisfied. Stone of Destiny wíwẹ̀ mo fẹ́ ká lò gangan ibi tó ti ń ṣe ètùtù. Now mo fẹ́ kẹ́ wo bíbà 1952 lélẹ̀ nígbà tí ìyá Ṣàlẹ́ God bless the queen ó dẹ̀ ti lọ báyìí nísìnyí so God bless the king ni ìwọ lè bú wọn èmi ò lè bú irú àyè mi gbé so God bless the king tó bá ọmọ kó wọ́n tó gbé ní bíbà ìwọ lè bú irú àyè mi gbé. So God bless the king. But tí máa sọ sí ìra mi níkùn ó yàtọ̀ sí tí máa sọ sí tàfù yẹn. So but for now God bless the king in it. Not just Ethiopia, what about Libya? So yes, Italy ṣe jàmbá náà fún Libya because bọ̀bọ̀ kan tó gbé wá tó wá padà ṣe gas kìíní kan nígbà tí wọ́n ń jàjà Ethiopia yẹn wọ́n ní Libya lọ ti rìkọ́lẹ̀ wa. Àwọn ìbò ti dáràn gan-an. Bí Elédùmarè ṣe máa forgive wọn mo ti understand. Wọ́n ti gbà nǹkan jẹ́ gan-an. I did not cry but nígbà tí mo gbọ́ ti Ethiopia yẹn mo tẹ̀ gbọ́ mo history bẹ́ẹ̀ rí ṣá. Ẹja gbọ́ ilé mọ́ bọ̀. 70 years ago 70 years old man bí àṣà ó ti bà nǹkan jẹ́ no nígbà yẹn gan sef nígbà tó ń jàjà yẹn Italy ṣe mọ̀ pé Italy support Germany àwọn Nazi against Britain. Italy tí wọ́n lọ gbasi fún Kenya ṣe ni wọ́n wá sọ Africa di basketball tó ti ń jà ṣe ni àwọn bá mọ̀ history púpọ̀ báyìí nǹkan ti bàjẹ́ gan-an. Italy kò support Britain àti France nígbà tó fẹ́ lọ àtáàkì àwọn Nazi àwọn Adolf Hitler so nígbà tó tún yá Italy tún lọ gbasi fún Kenya Britain bá attack. Wọ́n wá sọ̀dọ̀ wá di punching bag. Koiki using a goat or sheep as charity sacrifice is good most especially for Yoruba citizens that understand Yoruba culture. Àwa lámọ̀ yẹn ẹ̀gbọ́n mi àwọn fẹ́ sọ. Àwa tó bá náà fẹ́ pẹran nísìnyí fẹ́ ṣètùtù ní kí ló ń sọ lẹ́nu yìí kẹ́ ẹ̀ máa sọ yẹn. Ẹ mọ̀ wọ́n fún wa ní impression pé these are the things tí kò jẹ́ ká máa sọ. But a dúpẹ́ fún Britain pé wọ́n bá wa gbé òkúta yẹn jáde ẹja gbọ́ díẹ̀ sí.
Years have passed since the Queen was crowned.
King Charles and Queen Camilla. Long reign our king and queen. Ẹ wo òkúta yẹn lẹ́ẹ̀kan ṣiṣẹ́.
And with just 1 week to go.
No, kí ni wọ́n ṣe nígbà yẹn náà kò yé ni. And every small nation Belgium in Congo. Belgium yẹn tẹ̀ dín pẹ̀lú àwọn Congo dáadáa. Kí ni wọ́n ń ṣe níbí ìbàdàn gangan náà ṣé wọ́n ń gbàdúrà fókúta yẹn ni ṣé wọ́n ń ṣe sábìsì irú ìjọsìn wo ló ń ṣe ṣé mọ̀ kó tó bá yẹ pé ọ̀dọ̀ àwọn babaláwo nìyẹn náà wà nísìn kíyàn wá kọ́ wá send picture síta pé Koiki lélẹ́yìí o ṣé mọ̀ pé àwọn èèyàn Koiki kẹ̀ lọ́dọ̀ babaláwo kí ló ń ṣe níbẹ̀ àbọ̀rọ̀ mi yé nísìn ṣe rí pé àwọn ilé modernize ẹ̀ wọ́n play orin wọ́n ṣe ìwé aṣọ wọn clean kámẹ́rà wà níbẹ̀ ó fókọ̀sì wọn ó fókọ̀sì òkúta security wà níbẹ̀ ṣé eléyìí ló normal sí normal western world dọ̀tọ̀dọ̀ ti wọ̀ normal ìyá mi pásítọ̀ mọ̀ ní internet ló tó àṣírí wọn ọlọ́wọ́ ọba o Ọlọ́run kò sùúrù adúgbò fọlọ́ ṣá ara ń ta fi ń sọ fáwọn èèyàn wa pé ìjàmbá náà ń jàjà ẹ̀sìn àwọn ní kúrò nídìí ẹ̀ because mo ṣe wọ́ndà pé èèyàn mélòó ló dúró yìí 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 àti wá láwọn subordinate ní ẹ̀gbẹ̀gbẹ́ àwa láwọn tó ń wò security méjì tẹ̀ ní sábọ̀bọ̀ kan náà wọ glove tó gbé kankan sọ́wọ́ níbẹ̀ yẹn ẹja tó wò díẹ̀ sí.
Service was held to mark the arrival of the Stone of Destiny from Edinburgh.
Stone of Destiny from Edinburgh. Ó weigh 152 kg. Prince Ojini Abraham used a lamb to mark sacrifice to God Almighty.
Ancient symbol of
symbol kini?
Scotland's monarchy.
Symbol of Scotland monarchy. Ẹ wo òkúta ìwé ṣe tó.
The item used at the inauguration of Scotland's kings right up until the end of the 13th century. And it's removed by King Edward I in his hope to try and stop that process happening. And it stayed in this chair that he built in Westminster Abbey. And it's used at every coronation right up to Elizabeth II. And then about 25 years ago, it was returned to Scotland, and it lives in Edinburgh Castle. But the plan has always been that it should come to the coronation again when needed.
Why? When needed? Fún kí ni ẹ̀ẹ́dà fìyẹn sílẹ̀ tó bá dàgbò kan máa parí ètò yìí because postman tó yẹ kó dé wá collect nǹkan mo mọ reason tó ń pẹ́ báyìí mo lè ní láti lọ ṣe other things mo kí gbogbo alẹ́ nǹkan sí ọlọ́run ilé now èèyàn mélòó lórí kínní wọ́n pè ní who was the Grim Reaper at Westminster Abbey? A viral video explained the footage. Ṣé fídíò lélẹ̀ consent ẹja wo tó o bá ti rí tẹ́lẹ̀ nǹkan kan ṣe rí nǹkan kan àpíà lẹ́yìn máa wo bí tí lẹ́yìn yẹn ẹ farabalẹ̀ nǹkan kan àpíà lẹ́yìn yẹn àjọ máa rí nísìn. kíni tó ń rìn lọ lẹ́yìn yìí hello.
hello.
ṣe fẹ́ dá sórí ètò ni.
Bẹ́ẹ̀ni tí mo fẹ́ sọ fún yín ni pé gbogbo Christian pátá orí àpárá làkọ́ ìjọlé.
Yẹ tó tó máa ní.
Onígbàgbọ́ pátá Jesus pe Peter mo ní orí òkúta ni mo kọ́ ìjọ mi lé. Ìta ipò tí kò lè borí rẹ̀. Kò sí ibò kan tó lè borí orí àpáta lakọ́ Jésù lé lórí. Bẹ́ẹ̀ni, even Jesus Christ ó pẹ́ nìkan ní òkúta nínú ọmọ ẹ̀yìn ìtumọ̀ èyí tó jẹ́ òkúta ẹ lọ béèrè. So anything ó dàbí ó yàtọ̀ sówó yíyan rìn. Tí ń bọ̀ yẹn ni wọ́n lò yẹn láyéláyé dẹ̀ ni wọ́n mọ̀ lò ó. Wọ́n bá dẹ̀ ti ń lù wọ́n rán Jésù lórí àpáta ní gbogbo àwọn wà o. Òrùbá àlẹ́sìn kan ló ń ṣe o. Òrùbá àlẹ́ kan mí ló ń ṣe o. Orí àpáta.
So kò wà contradictory sí irú àwọn táwa náà ní àwọn àpáta oríṣiríṣi.
Tó ẹ tó bá ka báyìí dáadáa you understand the topic.
Ẹ kú làákàyè sà.
Rárá o kì í ṣe ẹni tí wọ́n dẹ̀ gbọ́dọ̀ tọ́jú ẹ̀. Àwọn kan máa gbé wọn á mọ torí bá máa pọ̀ original ni.
Ntọ́bàdẹ̀jọ́ original máa ń ní value.
So àwọn ọmọ tí wọ́n ń ṣe nǹkan tó bá ti fi ṣèpìlẹ̀ àwọn ọmọ lẹ́nu òkúta fẹ́fẹ́ wà yìí ṣe millions ní ọdún máa rí lórí ẹ̀.
Ìbọn ra ṣe sọ̀rọ̀ ẹ̀ báyìí nísìn.
Àwọn míì náà tún máa sọ́ńbò mi. Àwọn míì náà tún máa sọ́ńbò mi. Ohun tó ti kù ni mo lẹ ṣe rí táwọn èèyàn dúró lórí orí òkúta tí Jésù gbé Bírítíṣì gbé ayé wọn lẹ́yìn yẹn. Ọ̀bá àmọ́ wá lọ́dọ̀ òfin wọn àti ọ̀bá àmọ́ ní tó kù wọn kán máa ṣe wọn. Ṣùgbọ́n ìpìlẹ̀ yẹn nìyẹn.
Ẹ ṣé gan ni bàbá wa. Ẹ kú ọgbọ́n. Wọ́n ní bí wọn.
Ọjọ́ plane ni ẹjọ́ àti bàbá ti mọ sọ́mí. Ọkọ̀ kan ti wá dé àwọn bàbá ti wá. Àwọn tó ń mú mísàn wá kẹ̀kẹ́ gbogbo ẹ̀ láàtọ́jú. Wọ́n bàbá máa lò lé. Gbogbo kan yẹn làbá máa lò. Àjà grand ọ̀sán ni tó mú bọ̀. Ìsìn ó yẹ ká máa fowó wò ni. Wọ́n bá dẹ̀ fẹ́ sí nǹkan tó lágbára kán máa wá ní gbogbo ayé. Gbogbo mission tán wá yẹn wọ́n mú kankan wá. Ìwé ìkàwé ìlàkọọ́lẹ̀. Èmi bí mo ṣe rí fún sọ lórúkọ mi mo wà ní Dublin. Nígbà táwọn akéré.
Bẹ́ẹ̀ni bàbá.
Wọ́n pe àbátan ní bàbá ẹlẹ́mu wọ́n wà á pè é láti òkèèpè. Wọ́n bá lórí ọ̀pẹ àwa bọ́ọ̀lẹ̀. Ewé lásán ló máa dúró lórí ìdílé máa fọwọ́ sí. Kò sí orí náà yóò lọ lójú ẹ̀sọ́ abẹ́rẹ́ sí ẹ̀ padà.
Kábíyèsí Elédùmarè.
Mo wá fẹ́ sọ fún mi pé dáàdì mi tó péye dàgbà tó kò mọ́. Nígbà tí bàbá ẹlẹ́mu ò sí mọ́. Nítorí wá ń fọ́ ẹnìkan tó jẹ̀ jẹ́ ẹni mo dáàdì oníyẹn áwùyà. Tàbí bàbá ti lọ ẹ̀yìn ló kan. Ó lò wọ̀ mọ́.
Bàbá mọ́.
Kò sí ń tá a tọ́jú. Níbi tá a mọ yìí náà, wọ́n máa ń dẹ̀gbẹ́ kan lọ́dọ̀ wa, wọ́n ń pè ní òkè ọlọ́fin aṣíwájú ó wá láti fi òòrùn ṣáì. Wọ́n ti sin èèyàn níbọn ta tó kú lójú ẹsẹ̀. Wọ́n sì pé gbogbo àwọn èèyàn pé ẹ̀ gbọ́dọ̀ tọ́ o. Wọ́n rí báìbù ẹ̀ padà.
Kábíyèsí Elédùmarè.
Ẹ̀ gbọ́dọ̀ sọ fẹ́nikẹ́ni. Wọ́n dẹ̀ rí báyìí, ó dẹ̀ padà mẹ́sẹ̀ rí lọ́dún.
Kábíyèsí Elédùmarè.
Ẹ wá lọ bẹ̀ lónìí kẹ́bẹ̀rẹ̀ ẹ̀ kò sí.
Kò sí.
Kò sí àkọlẹ̀. Ẹ̀yẹ wo bí àwọn èèyàn ṣe tó ọjọ́ náà sí òkúta ilẹ̀ ní 70. Bẹ́ẹ̀ bá kìí traditional kẹ̀kẹ́ náà náà lò.
Hello. Mo gbádùn yín bàbá.
Ẹ wo àwọn ìránṣẹ́ yẹn. Ẹ wo báyẹn tó. Pẹ̀lú ọlá. Kẹ́ máa tirẹ̀ ní kẹ́ máa gbára ẹni létí kí àwọn kan máa pẹ́ dáadáa. Bẹ́ẹ̀ni pé bá ṣe tó ọjọ́ náà ní 70 years ago bẹ́ẹ̀ náà ṣe tó ń ṣe.
Wọ́n tò ní tótò dáadáa kò sáriwo kò sí pé Buhari ti dé ẹ máa pariwo Buhari ti dé bẹ́ẹ̀ nǹkan ètò wà.
Ṣé ní 70 fún ìyá ẹ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀? A tún ṣe ẹ̀ṣẹ̀ ní 70 ní 70 years after 70 years ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀ fọ́ ọmọ. Ìjọ ìṣọ́ọ̀tì kankan náà kọ́ná máa rí. Ìṣọ́ọ̀tì kankan máa rí.
Bó bàbá ẹ má bínú dádì kí ló dé táwọn wá rí rìsọ́ọ̀tì yẹn nínú Nàìjíríà láti náà.
Ohun tó ṣẹlẹ̀ ní pé àkọ́bí dáadáa ni.
Ok.
Mi ò lè má wo prógámù yẹn.
Ẹ ṣe gan dádì.
Ohun tẹ̀yìn try láti ṣe ni pé
àwọn
nǹkan tó dá nínú ẹ̀mí sọ fún àwọn ọmọ mi ọ̀dọ́ ọmọ tó pọ̀ sí. Mo ti máa ń sọ fún ọmọ mi mo ní tó bá dá nínú èyìnbó ẹ̀ tọ́jú ẹ̀ dáadáa ẹ̀ máa ọdún. Ohun tí ò bá dá nínú nǹkan ọmọ ẹ̀ máa mọ̀wọ́ kan.
Abèsí ẹ̀.
Àwọn tó sì ń fọ́jú ẹ̀ wọ́n tún fẹ́ lọ́dọ̀ Ọlọ́run. Máa gbẹ́nu Yúróòpù ni máa jẹ́ kí Yúróòpù gbẹ́nu ẹ̀.
Àrí bá bàbá ọjọ́ ya kalẹ̀ fún wa.
Ìwé ẹ̀ lọ́mọ gbọ́ pé kò sọ́lọ́. Ìwé ẹ̀ lọ́mọ gbọ́ pé òbí àti obìnrin. Ìwé ẹ̀ lọ́mọ gbọ́ pé òbí àti ọkùnrin.
Oríṣiríṣi kíyàn ṣáà èyí tó dá ń bẹ̀ ni kíyàn mú.
Má jẹ́ kí Yúróòpù gbẹ́nu ẹ̀.
Tẹ́ ń gbọ́ yìí tẹ́ ń gbọ́ wa tẹ́ ń gbọ́ tí bàbá ń sọ.
Gbogbo nǹkan tó bá dáa nínú nǹkan òyìnbó gbogbo nǹkan tó bá dáa nínú nǹkan òyìnbó dì mú.
Òun dẹ̀ ni bàbá wọn náà fẹ́ mú wá èyí tó dá ń bẹ̀ lọ mú wá.
Ẹ jẹ́ sàṣírí kan fún yín.
Mo ń gbọ́ bàbá.
Àwọn ọmọ mi ò ju èyí tó yàtọ̀ sí ìdí mo bí sí bí àwọn ò ju 10 years 13 years lọ. Ǹjẹ́ mọ̀ pé mo gba state of origin fún wọn. Ní local government mi.
Kábíyèsí ẹ̀.
Mo gba state of origin fún wọn. Mo níbi kan bá dọjọ́ wájú ẹ̀ lè prove ẹ̀ ṣùgbọ́n kò ní dàbí tí mo ti ṣe ní 40 years ago. Ṣé wá bí ọ̀wọ́?
Kábíyèsí ẹ̀.
So 40 years yẹn ẹ lè mọ̀ pé 40 years láti ṣe kí ní láti sá ẹ̀. Mo dẹ̀ ṣe fún gbogbo wọn. So níjọ́ tó bá mú yọjú after 30 years àwọn èèyàn á respect yẹn. Èèyàn bẹ̀ kò sọ́mọ mi tí ò gbọ́ Yorùbá.
Kábíyèsí ẹ̀.
Kódà ìbí yìí lè kà. Nígbà mo kó wọn lọ lé ní March April tó kọjá tá a lọ ṣègbéyàwó fún ọmọ mi kan. Níṣẹ́ ni gbogbo wọn gbogbo tó ń sọ lẹ́gbọ́. Gbogbo ò dá wọn lóhùn. Gbogbo ẹ̀ ló ń gbọ́ pátá. Gbogbo tó ń sọ lẹ́gbọ́. Wọ́n tẹ̀ wá ń sọ fún mi. Ilé ìsọlé ilé ìsọlé ilé ìsọlé. Ilé ìsọpẹ́ ilé ò gbọ́ kan. Mo mọ̀ pé mo gbọ́ méjì kó tó fi sọ̀rọ̀ ìwé. Mo làwọn bá ń rẹ̀. So Mr. Koiki, iṣẹ́ ńlá lẹ̀ ń ṣe o.
Àbẹ̀sẹ̀.
Iṣẹ́ ńlá lẹ̀ ń ṣe ọ̀rọ̀. Òun sọ̀rọ̀ alẹ̀ dàbí ìsọkúsọ.
Ojoojúmọ́ ló ń bú wa.
Pẹ̀lú kíní kan dájú.
Ojoojúmọ́ ló ń bú
Ẹni tó
wa.
bá mú ọ̀rọ̀ yín bó jẹ́ méjì nínú ẹ̀ ló bá lò. Táyé ẹ̀ bá da kò ní gbàgbé o.
Ẹ ṣe gan ni sà.
Torí tọ́níìkì níṣẹ́, ẹ̀yin ní máyégún ní. Tọ́níìkì lọ̀rọ̀ yín.
Bẹ́ẹ̀ni.
Nínú ayé tèmi èmi ò lè má gbọ́.
Ṣe gan ni èmi náà wá pẹ̀lú ẹ̀ lánàá títí tó fi ń ṣe program ẹ̀.
Àtẹ́lẹ̀ yóò máa yẹ ẹ̀yin méjèèjì ẹ̀fà jíjẹ ọlọ́mọọmọ fúnlẹ̀ Yorùbá ni. Ọ̀rọ̀ Yorùbá ò kí recognize
ẹ̀já máa wò yẹn bàbá ẹ má yẹ ká wò yẹn bàbá ní ká máa wò yẹn.
Olórí kàmọ́ ni pé tẹ́ ẹ̀ ń ṣe ẹ̀ gbajúmọ̀.
Ó dà.
Títí fọ́mẹ̀ wọn wà nìyẹn.
Àkúrò níbẹ̀ àtàgò mẹ́rin tí mo ti ṣe program kọjá láàárọ̀ láago 6 ìkejì lélẹ̀ tá à ń ṣe lọ yìí àtúnbọ̀ lálẹ́.
Ẹnìkan ló ń fi ara ẹ̀ ló ń fi ẹ̀mí ẹ̀ ló ń gbogbo àyè tó jẹ́ pé mo mọ iye tó wọ̀. Gẹ́gẹ́ bí ẹ tó wà láìláàdì mo mọ iye tẹ́ ẹ wọ̀.
Bí mo tẹ̀ níwèé gan màá sì lọ ṣiṣẹ́ lọ́dọ̀ àwọn kan ní pẹ́kàn wá sì máa san kéékèèké kan fún mi kò pọ̀ ní dàbí ambọ̀sì bọ́ sí.
Ká máa sọ pé tó lè jáde tó lè wájẹ́.
Àdúpẹ́ fọlọ́run ṣáà ni àṣàdúpẹ́ fọlọ́run pé àwọn fámìlì tẹ gbà wá láàyè ẹ̀hún pé tí ìyàwó bá gbà mí láàyè mo kó máa difficult díẹ̀. So ìgbà mi ìyàwó mi á ní pé ṣé mo ti sọ̀rọ̀ lénìí kí ló dé àwọn tó ń dúró díẹ̀ pọ̀ àwọn ọ̀dà máa jáde ẹ ṣe gan ni dáàdi ọlọ́run bá wọn pọ̀ yín thank you so much ẹ ṣe gan ni sir mo dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ yín o. No going back in me no going back in me bó bá yá ọmọ ayé gbogbo wa.
Bó bá yá
ayé gbogbo wa.
Èmi ní confidence lórí àwọn bàbá yẹn dọ̀la.
Ayé gbogbo wa. Ayé gbogbo wa.
Tó bá yá ó yé àwọn èèyàn.
Ó dáa ká má dẹ̀ relent ká máa sọ̀rọ̀ ká máa guide àwọn èèyàn ó ti tán. Ó ti tán ó ti tán ẹ ṣe gan ni dáàdi wa thank you so much. Ẹ bá ń kí àwọn ọmọ àtàwọn ọmọ tó ẹ̀gbọ́n tí bàbá fi bá wa sọ̀rọ̀ bí àsìkò ṣe ń wálẹ̀ mo dúpẹ́ fún gbogbo ẹ̀yin èèyàn wa Ọlọ́run ní jẹ́ ká kúkú jọra wa lójú eléyìí tí mo sọ ti Ethiopia yìí kákọ̀ tú wáìnì síwájú díẹ̀ ní ká tún gbọ́ díẹ̀ náà ẹ̀.
Causes just 2 days later, clearing the way for Tafari to claim absolute power in Abyssinia after years of dual rule between him and the Empress. You don't have to be smart.
So kí mo fẹ́ fà ní ti Ethiopia ni pé mo kí Mr. Farr ẹ ṣe gan ni sà Ọlọ́run bá wà pẹ̀lú gbogbo wa bí gbogbo wa ṣe ń ṣe ìgbìyànjú àtẹ̀yìntẹ̀ ń comment àtàwà tá à ń ṣe gbogbo náà la dúpẹ́.
Half a year was imposed following the passing of Empress Zelditu.
Kí mo fẹ́ fà nínú bíbá ni pé.
In response to the invasion of Abyssinia, the League of Nations sanctioned Italy on the 7th of October.
Mo mọ̀ pé Italy yẹn náà ṣe wọ́n ṣe jàǹbá gan ṣá. 7th of October 1935, 4 days after the initial inclusion by the Bond troops. Wọ́n bà nǹkan jẹ́ ní Ethiopia yẹn kò ṣe kékeré.
1935, 4 days after the initial incursion by De Bono's troops, the two primary countries within the League to whom the responsibility fell for challenging the Italian government's actions.
UK ò challenge ẹ̀ níjọ́ náà lọ́hùn France ò challenge ẹ̀. Mr. Ademola ọlọ́ọ̀ṣẹ́ gan ni bàbá mo wá kí gbogbo àwọn tí wọ́n jẹ́ bíi representative Nigerians but Yorùbá ni wọ́n ní UK wọ́n ń ṣe àwọn iṣẹ́ burúkú kan tó yẹ pé iṣẹ́ gbòógì táwa kan ò lè ṣe kò ń ṣiṣẹ́ burúkú in the terms of burúkú tí mo mí pé iṣẹ́ gbòógì mo bá mọ́mí wa kan sọ̀rọ̀ lánàá mo ní mo lè expose ibi tó ti ń ṣiṣẹ́ wọ́n treat kéèsì kan lọ́wọ́ nísìn kò ní kankan ṣe pẹ̀lú Nàìjíríà o kò ní kankan ṣe pẹ̀lú Yorùbá nation ẹ̀mọ́ ọkọ̀ fẹ́mi ní side knowledge kéèsì yẹn ṣẹ́rí brain power tí Elédùmarè fún gbogbo wa yìí tí tó bá sì jẹ́ pé a wà lórí regional government a ti tẹ̀síwájú jù báyìí lọ but àwọn Ìgbò dàrú but nígbà tí Ìgbò dẹ̀ ti dàrú yẹn kí ló dé tí gbogbo wa padà ká wá sọ pé a fẹ́ padà sórí ẹ̀ gangan a fẹ́ dúró lórí true federalism yóò ṣiṣẹ́ fẹ́ni kankan we would have even been better off in a regional government ẹ gbọ́ mi dáadáa o we would have even been better off argument èmi àtẹ̀gbọ́n mi nìyẹn túnjáwó fẹ́ sọ àwọn sì believe pé there is no doubt we can still go back towards that regional government and build our way out into a Yoruba country there is nothing wrong with belief tiwọn yẹn but ẹ mọ̀ pé tí Scotland ṣe wà lẹ́yìn ṣé mọ̀ pé Scotland ń develop the problem tó kàn ní pé wọ́n ṣì wà lára United Kingdom but ọmọ Scottish lẹ́ni nísìn kò síbi tó lè lọ tó bá pàdé wọn ní airport láwọn àtàtì rọra travel níwọ̀nba kékeré èdè yẹn ló máa fi gbọ́ pé Scottish lélẹ̀ Irish èdè ibo mo ti pàdé bọ̀ girl Irish kan òkèlè níjọ́ Saturday tí mo jáde yẹn I'm sure pé máa capture nínú fídíò yẹn tẹ́ bá follow fídíò mi dáadáa even òtútù tó mú mi wọlé kò ń ṣe kékeré rárá mo wọlé báyìí just reason mo kí ẹ dáadáa the evil rules the world and that is the main reason why preaching of Jesus Christ is so vital to understanding goings on and how one can deal with the world with a long spoon. Mo kí n dáadé mọ́mí wa Christina Ademola God rasbam mo kí yín so ẹ̀yin tiwa mo kí yín bàbá ọmọ ọba Ọláyínká Akeem mọ́mí wa Ògìní Fiki mo kí yín. What we are saying is ṣé mọ̀ pé Britain ò fara pé kó sọ̀pọ́tì pé Italy invade Ethiopia ní 1935. So now mo lè wá understand reason tí Yorùbá nation now níwájú ilé wọn kò ní dá wa lóhùn Biafra nation now wọ́n rí wa lórí kámẹ́rà wọn dá wa lóhùn akọ lẹ́tà sí wọn wọ́n respond dáadáa mo kí n dáàdi wa Báyọ̀ ṣẹwádẹ tẹ ń bú mi ẹ máa bú mi dáadáa ẹ bú mi dáadáa kò má tà èmi kọ́ ló ti ń búyàn but ṣe rí dáàdi wa tó sọ̀rọ̀ tán wọ́n ní ìta bá sọ tó bá tẹ́ lọ́rùn ìwọ ṣáà múnú ẹ̀ sórí tó kù dásí mi nígbàyà but tí mo fẹ́ kà mọ̀ ni pé Britain àti France tí kò sọpọ́tì Ethiopia ní 1935 bó ṣe máa sọpọ́tì wa ní 21st century yìí òun ni gbogbo àjọ ń wò lọ́wọ́ yìí ẹja gbọ́ díẹ̀ sí.
Britain and France, who were the
ìdí tí mo ṣe ń ṣe analysis lé lórí pé ká má kàn máa lo fídíò yẹn torí ó lè freeze YouTube.
foremost colonial powers across the African continent and who had colonies nearby themselves in Somaliland and all across Ethiopia's western and southern borders in Sudan and Kenya in the case of Britain. Yet while the conservative-led national government of Stanley Baldwin in Britain campaigned on and won an election in
now mo fẹ́ ká máa wo àwọn déètì yẹn ṣe rí pé 1947 ni wọ́n ní Stanley Baldwin yìí between 1867 and 1947 ní time yẹn náà wọ́n run operation because 1914 lọ fáwọn ní amalgamation mo kí Mr. Ọládélé Ọlámilékan mo kí bàbá wa Professor Emeritus Adébánjọ Akíntóyè tí a gbà fún bàbá yẹn délẹ̀ a gbà fún wọn délẹ̀ kò sí èyí méjì kò sí àní-àní doubt nítorí pé ìta gbé dání is a big task is a big project ẹ ṣe gan ni Mr. Ọládélé ẹ ní Mr. Koiki pardon rárá òtá Yorùbá ẹ ti pọ̀ jù ẹ bá kọ́ ní English ẹ má da brain ní irú ẹ má da brain island population is not up to a single state in Yorùbá land mo débẹ̀ lẹ́ẹ̀kan mo ṣe Dublin ni mo lọ trip yẹn gan was mo rò kódà mo rò pé mo tún fẹ́ lè lọ mọ́ lẹ́ẹ̀kan sí I was in there mo ní bad experience màá share in another time in another program bad experience ni mo ní trip mi kan tí mo lọ sí Dublin private jet la gbé lọ mo tẹ̀lé àwọn Scientology àwọn ta ló máa tán pè ní Scientology oríṣiríṣi ló wà ní UK bí àṣà dádì wa mo máa kí ní dáadáa mọ́mì wa Fọlákẹ́ Akínyẹlé mo kí ní dáadáa Akínyẹlé bẹ́ẹ̀ ni mo kí káàbọ̀ sórí ètò àwọn Scientology ni mo bá lọ ẹ má bínú pé mo ti yá bàrà kékeré wọ́n pa àwọn kan ní Scientology lọ́ba náà fẹ́ lọ sí Dublin ní bá tẹ̀lé wọn lọ wàláì Muslim wà nínú àwọn tí wọ́n wá fún program yẹn Christian wà níbẹ̀ Orthodox gbogbo wa la kún níbẹ̀ rẹpẹtẹ Scientology I'm sure pé tí bá lọ wá ẹ jẹ́ n type in Olayomi Koiki I did some recording there mo ti wà tipẹ́ náà díẹ̀ tó bá yẹ pé mo kàn ń gbìyànjú náà ní Scientology nàìjíríà lọ sí all not images Olayomi Koiki program mi kìíní mi tó delete yẹn 2007 Facebook mi yẹn òun ló ní so many of my program tí mo ṣe nígbà yẹn for Facebook ti gbé lọ That's something to do with Scientology. Again, will we are familiar anything? No, move up my dad anyway. Scientology. It was a big event gone, big event, gidi, but experience the money pẹ̀lú àwọn tí a bá lọ yẹn. Mo lè gbàgbé láíláí. Big kìíní láwọn eléyìí o. Mr. Koiki, you have been on the road for mo ní bèbí kan Juliet ọmọ Kenya ni kò sí gbogbo event tó bá fẹ́ lọ báyìí ó máa ń fà mí tẹ̀lé ajá máa ń káàkiri rẹ̀ sórí ìwòlè mọ́ ni Liberal Party ló ń bá ṣe níbí báyìí kódà ó fi contest fún president Kenya nígbà kan Juliet Makapila wọ́n mọ̀ bí ẹni wọ́n ó ní UK ó dùn mí pé mo rí gbogbo àwọn pictures mi ṣá yá mo ní láti máa fi wọ̀nyí máa lọ wọnú rẹ́kọ̀dì mi Scientology tí mo sọ yìí wọ́n ní branch wọn ní London okay bí a kì í lo Koiki Media ṣé mo ti ń lo Koiki because mo ti ń lo Koiki Media nígbà yẹn Scientology Koiki kódà pẹ̀lú ìwé magazine orí owó tó wá ẹ mọ̀ pé àti change mindset àwọn èèyàn a máa náwó àwọn èèyàn máa náà ní náwó tẹ bá mọ investment táwọn ilé ṣe àwọn Scientology tẹ̀ ń rí another ideology kan làwọn eléyìí náà tó bá wà careful wàláì wọ́n máa gbé ẹ lọ síbi tó they go carry you go where you no wan go London tí kò fún mi lẹ́nìtẹ̀ that's strange màá wá jáde fún yẹn má wọrí màá wá jáde òlélẹ̀ Scientology Instagram òlélẹ̀ na big kìíní gan ni wọ́n big event ni mò ń sọ yìí o private jet lọ fi gbé wa láti Stansted airport Mr. Park kí ló ń pa ilé rìn they carry us go where they wait big event private jet tí mo tẹ̀ wọ́n fà máa gba visa di Dublin ọ̀rọ̀ tí mò ń sọ yìí ìgbà tí mo dé Dublin mo realize pé mo ṣe ìdára pé ayé káyé làwọn èèyàn àwọn tó máa ń lọ lórí private jet anyway I'm gonna do for it some other time àfi ṣe program níjọ́ kan mo mọ reason màá ní káwọn back end team mi kọ́ bá mi wá jáde tó wà náà archive mi but big ṣe manuscript lọ can't you see what Omoluka show about the baba is working bẹ́ẹ̀ ni mo rí lánàá mo rí tí bàbá wà lórí kọ̀ǹpútà lánàá ìyá Dagboru yàn ní jẹ́ ká réhùn bẹ́ẹ̀ yẹn ṣe rí pé bàbá gan wà nínú ọwọ́ just in a casual way kọ́ lọ bá wa wà pẹ̀lú bàbá yẹn so wọ́n sáà ibi tó wà ní Victoria mo lọ attend some of their events wọ́n fẹ́ ká máa bá wọn promote nǹkan kan nígbà yẹn Church of Scientology ló ń jẹ́ oríṣiríṣi ló wà lọ òkè káwọn tèmi Koiki yìí bí wa kápẹ́ sí orí títì lèmi wà sẹ́ orí títì mo ti pàdé heritage orí títì mo ti pàdé gbẹ̀dú níbi mo ti wà káàkiri èmi ò láì kí n máa jókòó sínú ilé kẹ̀ Yorùbá Nation ló kọ̀ tún fún mi ní restriction plans mi tẹ́lẹ̀ wàláì bí gbogbo ń ṣe ní plans èmi náà ní plans mo fẹ́ káàkiri lọ sí gbogbo 36 state tẹ́lẹ̀ ààrẹ owó ni tó bá yẹ kí mo rówó ni bí a Fúlàní ìbàdàn ti jólú ẹ̀gbá ti gé orí olúwẹ̀ lọ ẹnu ẹja fi Scientology sílẹ̀ I'll come back for another time for it ẹ jẹ́ ká pàṣẹ now mo fẹ́ ká wo déètì yìí déètì wà important in the history of bó ṣe create Nigeria ẹ wo 1947 tọkọ sí bíbá 1914 ẹ bá wa tètè minus ẹ 1947 minus 1914 how many years is that ẹ̀gbọ́n mi Ṣẹ́gun ọ̀nà ẹ̀yin mathematician ẹ máa kí mi tún máa ṣe wàhálà Tottenham Court bẹ́ẹ̀ ni wọ́n wà ní Tottenham Court náà you know what Mr. Abiodun you know what I used to go into their church at Tottenham Court ẹ̀yin náà lọ́bẹ̀ 33 years thank you so much just crazy just crazy ṣé further mass ló ṣe ní school ni ẹ̀yin àti ẹ̀gbọ́n mi Ṣẹ́gun ọ̀nà now ṣé mo pé ó wà interesting pé why tí ìjà ń lọ ní Ethiopia wọ́n ti fún àwa ní fake amalgamation but ẹ jẹ́ kí n béèrè ìbéèrè kan ìbéèrè òmùgọ̀ ni ẹ má bínú ẹ mọ̀ pé mi náà ká bá jókòó síbẹ̀ ẹ̀gbọ́n mi ò kí mighty wọ́n send message kan sí mi wọ́n ní Koiki ẹ ṣe gan ni ẹ jẹ́ n béèrè ìbéèrè òmùgọ̀ kan ṣé nígbà tí wọ́n amalgamate wa ṣé ààrẹ àwọn tó lè stop ẹ̀ nígbà yẹn pé no àfẹ́ ẹ̀gbọ́n mi tó ní ages 33 years tí àwọn eléyìí ń ṣe tí wọ́n lọ níjọ́ náà lọ́hùn ìyẹn máa yìí Stanley Baldwin yìí ẹ jẹ́ ká lọ wẹ́ni tó ń jẹ́ bẹ̀ gangan Stanley because òun lélẹ̀ Stanley ojú ẹ̀ gangan lélẹ̀ àwọn pípì ti dayé wọ́n ti dayé rú Britain ti dayé rú wọ́n fẹ́ apologize Stanley Baldwin first L. Baldwin of Bildo oríṣiríṣi KG PC JP FRS was a British Conservative Party níjọ́ náà long a statesman and a politician who dominated the government of United Kingdom between the World War nígbà tó ń jagun lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́ Mr. Agbọ́láhàn ni may God protect you ẹ bá máa ṣàdúrà lójoojúmọ́ ìdáǹgbéjáde yìí ọ̀fẹ́ ká mọ̀ Prime Minister UK ẹ ṣe gan ni ẹ̀gbọ́n mi Ṣẹ́gun Ọ̀nà ẹ wáyé ká gbọ́ ohun tó ṣẹlẹ̀ ní bíbá ẹ jẹ́ rewind ẹ̀ màá wá dákẹ́ díẹ̀ mo fẹ́ ká follow bíbá ogun ti rẹ́ wọ́n ti jagun oríṣiríṣi ní Áfíríkà yẹn Áfíríkà ní battleground Ọlọ́run ẹ jẹ́ ká gbọ́ díẹ̀ sí ní bíbá.
Though, while the Ethiopians were numerically superior, despite the best efforts to modernize their armies since the 1890s, their forces were still resoundingly based on mass infantry divisions. For instance, Selassie's government had just a handful of tanks, and the Ethiopian Air Force consisted of little more than a dozen planes. By way of contrast, Mussolini's government was eventually able to deploy hundreds of tanks in East Africa, as well as massive artillery barrages and a significant Air Force presence. Thus, while the Italian army would be shown in later years to be enormously deficient in European terms, the war, which was initiated in the autumn of 1935, was clearly a David versus Goliath type conflict.
David versus Goliath type conflict. So Italy fẹ́ invade Ethiopia ní 1935. Mo kí mọ́nú root ẹja padà. Mo ní láti máa sọ̀rọ̀ láàrin méjì ẹ̀ sódà kí AI the artificial intelligence kó má pọ̀ pípé àkànlò fídíò ní fídíò because fídíò iṣẹ́ jáde ní 3 months ago. Mo farabalẹ̀ mo gbọ́ 1 hour ní bí ṣe ń clean nínú ilé àárọ̀ tí mo wú bá tí mo ṣe gbogbo ẹ̀ ni mo fi kíni mo gbọ́ kíni ṣe títí mo ń gbọ́ dáadáa.
The Italians had the upper hand.
Italian has the upper hand.
In a way which they had not back in 1895 when the first Italo-Ethiopian War was launched.
Wọ́n ti kọ́kọ́ jàjà kan rí ní 1895. So ìjà tó jà yẹn kò àwọn Ìtàló wọ́n wà satisfied. Wọ́n tún wá ṣe padà wá ní 1935 kọ́ la sọ lẹ́ẹ̀kan yẹn. Wọ́n ti jàjà kan ní 1895. Mo ti ń béèrè pé nígbà tí wọ́n amalgamate Nàìjíríà yẹn Mr. Koiki that was why a clause of 100 years expiry was included. Now tí clause yẹn ti expire kí ló dé ta ṣì wá ń renew clause yẹn kí ló dé ta ṣì ń wá faramọ́ Nàìjíríà ní 1914 amalgamation tí clause yẹn ti tán àti pé ṣé òmùgọ̀ ni wá ni union yìí ò work ẹ jẹ́ ká fi sílẹ̀ kò mí pa ní tí bá fẹ́ ọmọ málà tíyàwó mi bá ní ó wà òkè má lọ fẹ́ tí bá dẹ̀ ní mọ̀ fọmọ málà bá fi sílẹ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ tí bá fẹ́ lọ ṣeré lọ sílẹ̀ Haúsá màá mọ̀ pé a máa lo ìjáàbù látòkè dé sálẹ̀ àní gbé bra nìkan lọ síbẹ̀ bọ̀ nílẹ̀ Yorùbá a bá wà ní beach wa ìyàwó mi lè lo bra kébi kọ́ra jókòó ká wà nínú beach kọ́nù máa ta sí mi lára lọ́nà sáìdì Ìjẹ̀bú ni o torí mo fi lọ sí Èkó wàhálà yẹn ti pọ̀ lẹ́kọ̀ọ́ yẹn ará Èkó yẹn wàhálà yẹn pọ̀ járe àkọ́ra máa sùn sábẹ́ beach lábẹ́ bọ̀ nígbà tí wọ́n bá ń sùn ní wákàtí nísìn Fúlàní akọ̀dé ni wọ́n send fídíò kan sí mi wọ́n lẹ́ni yẹn wá support ní support àfikọ́ lọ support kẹ̀ Fúlàní ti gé ọwọ́ yẹn tẹ̀ ti ṣe padà ní ìmùgbà tó ṣẹlẹ̀ kan náà àwọn comrade wa kan ló send ẹ̀ sí mi too many problem yẹn ti pọ̀ jù.
In response to the invasion of Abyssinia,
mo fẹ́ ká farabalẹ̀ gbọ́ ní bíbá níjọ́ náà lọ́hùn League of the Nation ló ń lò kó tó di pé wọ́n sọ di United Nation ṣé bẹ́ẹ̀ ni bẹ́ẹ̀ kọ́ ẹ̀gbọ́n mi comrade Ṣẹ́gun Ọ̀nà ṣèbí League of Nation ni wọ́n ń lò níjọ́ náà lọ́hùn ṣé wà pẹ̀lú mi ẹ̀yẹ èèyàn òkè káàdé ni bàbá náà workaholic o they just dey for blood bàbá yẹn ṣiṣẹ́ burúkú sí àníkọ́ náà bá wà dúró di bàbá yẹn bàbá 88 years old ẹlòmíì ò bàbá 88 mi ò lè dúró sórí kọ̀mpútà fún 10 minutes.
League of Nations sanctioned Italy.
Wọ́n sanction Italy níjọ́ náà lọ́hùn kí ló ń pa mọ́mí wa Mary Adéoyè kí ló ń pa ilé èwo ni mo sọ tó ń pa ilé rìn náà ọ̀rọ̀ mi ìgbà bí àwàdà mi máa ń pọ̀ tí bá fẹ́ serious ni mo kí gbogbo yín tí bá ti wọlé tí mo kí yẹn máa fẹ́ serious nìyẹn ọtí bá dé òkè ṣe gan ni wọ́n ní League of Nations ni wọ́n ń jẹ́ níjọ́ náà lọ́hùn wọ́n padà sanction Italy but Italy sì padà jàjà yẹn ẹ̀dá gbọ́ díẹ̀ sí.
On the 7th of October 1935, 4 days after the initial incursion by de Bono's troops, the two primary countries within the
ẹ farabalẹ̀ ìgbà gan wọn fẹ́ ká gbọ́ àwọn ìlú méjì tó jẹ́ kó wọ́n sọ fún Italy pé má ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀ mọ́ má jàjà yìí wọ́n ò ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀ wọ́n dákẹ́ àwọn ìlú wo ni ẹ̀rí máàpù yẹn Westminster àti France.
League to whom the responsibility fell for challenging the Italian government's actions were Britain and France, who were the foremost colonial powers across the African continent and who had colonies nearby themselves in Somaliland and all across Ethiopia's western and southern borders in Sudan and Kenya in the case of Britain. Yet while the conservative-led national government of
the conservative-led national government of Stanley Baldwin in Britain kí ló ṣẹlẹ̀ ó campaign fún kankan. Thank you so much wọn náà ń wò mí láti Port Harcourt kò ní bàjẹ́ fún Mr. Wale Favour báwo ni wọ́n Port Harcourt ṣé ẹ máa ń jajá ṣá ẹ má bínú wọn náà àwọn ará Port Harcourt nínú máa ń jajá tí ó máa ń dùn inú jẹ́rí but àwọn kan inú máa ń dùn mò ń dẹ̀ jẹ́rí mo tá ni mo bá sọ̀rọ̀ ní Tálì tó ní tí mo ní ajá ó dà ń para èèyàn kan pè mí láti Tálì ọmọ Yorùbá ni wọ́n mo àwọn sọ̀rọ̀ ajá wọn náà máa ń rí jẹ lọ́dọ̀ wọn lọ́hùn ẹ ẹ kọ́ gbọ́ o ajẹ́ nínú fáàmù ẹ ti lọ ń jẹ yẹn o láwọn abúlé lọ́hùn wọn níbẹ̀ ni ẹ kàn mú yín o ẹ̀wọ̀n nìyẹn o ẹ lọ ń jajá ní Tálì láì sí ní Port Harcourt tó máa fi mọ̀ gbogbooro wọn ẹ̀gbọ́n mi ọlá tó jẹ́ àwọn fẹ̀sọ̀ ní League of the Nations was founded in 1914 nígbà tó fi Nàìjíríà sí amalgamation ni wọ́n dá sílẹ̀ eating dog those are Calabar people ló ń jajá àwọn Port Harcourt tó ń jajá epo wà níbẹ̀ Mr. Favour ṣẹ́yìn náà ṣe ń ṣe bọ́ńkì ṣé epo wà ẹ̀yin sọ́pọ́ọ̀tì wọn arákùnrin ti sọ pé ó súwìtì arákùnrin jajá mo gbọ́dọ̀ bá já wá sádùúgbò yín tí bá dẹ̀ máa gbájá wá bulldog ni èyí gan máa sá wàláì.
Stanley Baldwin in Britain
ẹ farabalẹ̀ gbọ́ bíbá dáadáa nísìn.
On and won an election in November 1935 on the premise of supporting the League of Nations and its mission. Baldwin's government almost immediately capitulated to Italian aggression. Within days of arriving in office, the new British Foreign Secretary Samuel Hoare was engaged in talks with his French.
Now, ẹ wo date yẹn 1959. Ẹ̀gbọ́n mi àwọn fẹ́ sọ báwo ni Britain ṣe ní agbára tó ibi pé ní 1958-57 wọ́n deliberate pẹ̀lú àwọn bàbá Awólọ́wọ̀ nípa Nàìjíríà ní 1959 wọ́n tún jàjà míì báwo ló ṣe ní agbára yẹn wọ́n ní mo mọ̀ pé ará Oǹdó náà ni arákùnrin tó pè mí láti Italy yẹn kò ní dárúkọ wọn náà wọ́n máa ń jájá ní Italy mo ní ẹ̀ ń jájá kẹ̀ ní Italy ẹ máa kọ́ ìbò mú yín o ọ̀la ẹ̀wọ̀n nìyẹn mo fẹ́ béèrè nǹkan kan lọ́wọ́ gbogbo ẹ̀yin tẹ́ ń gbọ́ program yẹn lọ́pọlọ enlighten mi because ẹ̀yin náà máa enlighten mi ọ̀nà gbọ́lọ́gbọ́ la fi ṣe kinní kan ẹ má bínú ó yẹ ká ti lọ mo ń tẹsẹ̀ dúró fún post tó yẹ kó wá gbé pásù kan nínú ilé yìí nígbà tó lè bá dẹ̀ jáde tán nísìnyí lọ́ máa dé táwọn ọmọ òdua bá dẹ̀ dé nísìnyí lọ́ máa bí mi shalom my brother shalom I cite you tó bá ti kí mi ní shalom moment tó wà behind it ẹ jẹ́ ìbéèrè kankan in 1959 the British government was already working towards allowing Nigeria to become an independent country because a mọ̀ pé ní 1957-58 according to ìtọ̀tàgbọ́ ní Lancaster House wọ́n ti ń ṣe but wọ́n tún wá intervene pẹ̀lú another fight tó ń lọ ní Ethiopia báwo ló ṣe ní agbára tó tó yẹn how did they get this kind of power? Koiki, some of them who are talking rubbish about our baba we can't see their own father àìní kẹfì wọn sílẹ̀ sẹ́ àwọn èèyàn ní bàbá báwo ni Britain ṣe ní no òkè kò ní ṣe pé agbára nìkan wọ́n fi sọ báwo ló ṣe manage gbogbo situation yẹn agbára yàtọ̀ sí tí wọ́n fi sọ how did Britain manage ẹ jẹ́ kí ẹ mọ̀ pé map kan wà tá a máa ń lò lẹ́yìn mi gbogbo ìlú tí Britain ní tó ṣe kí ni tó colonize ẹ rántí map yìí ṣe rántí gbogbo dọ́ọ̀tì yìí so báwo ni Britain ṣe ní that kind of manpower láti manage gbogbo though wọ́n ní àwọn náà ní agbára nígbà yẹn during the colonial time if the Italian did not go ahead the British and the French come and conquer báwo ló ṣe ní power yẹn ní àpéyàn kan pè wá ó dà pé dáàdì wa fẹ́ fún wa ní enlightenment wọ́n ti pè lẹ́ẹ̀kan ẹgbọ́n sókè dáàdì.
ẹ má bínú.
no àbínú kẹ̀ táì ti parí ètò à ń gbọ́ yín.
ẹ má gbàgbé àpáta tí wọ́n fi gbogbo agbára wọn lé lórí orí tánbí nítorí mi.
ókè.
gbogbo tá a bá bìrì lórí òkúta ẹ bóyá kò sí yẹn.
bí dáàdì wa ṣe sọ láti àwọn náà pè látẹ̀kọ́ àbí somewhere around Nigeria.
jẹ́ rí gbogbo nǹkan tá a bá mọ̀ pé gbogbo àwọn tó ń wo kíní ìfẹ́ agbára wọn lé sí ni kó o bá mọ̀ tiẹ̀ sí ní UK níjọ́ yẹn. agbára wọn mọ̀ lé sí. kódà nílẹ̀ yìí rí nínú kọ́ọ̀tù tá a rí nínú èyìnbó tá a fi fẹ́ lọ́dọ̀ wa. gbogbo àwọn tó ní ìtura pátápátá èwo ni òkè lóyìn.
wàláì gbogbo wọn pátápátá mo sì sọ lórí program tààrọ̀ yìí.
kódà kí ni bọ́ bá padà tó ti tẹ̀lé.
ókè.
jẹ́rí tí wọ́n ṣe fẹ́ ká lọ ayé ìjẹkújẹ pọ̀ ní Nàìjíríà.
ayé sáré ra lé $11 million tí yàn kàn ẹ̀wọ̀n dáàdì sẹ́wọ̀n pé yàn kàn sínú ilé yẹn ṣá wọ́n ti lé yẹn pa ní ṣá.
tẹ bá ní àyà ní ẹ̀ tẹ wá ló dá o bàbá mi ló ní tiẹ̀ ni mo ṣe láti fi lọ tó wá bá yí wá kọ́nà kan tẹ́ ti mọ̀ dá àwọn èèyàn kọ́nà ẹ mọ̀ gbà tọrọ pọ̀pọ̀. kẹ́ tó yí ọdún kan ẹ ti di lọ ní à.
ókè.
lẹ́yìn yẹn ṣe é ṣe mọ́ nílẹ̀ abájí ó Nàìjíríà.
kò ní possible ó gbẹ máa wọ automated ó máa wọ automated.
ẹ má bínú mi ò gbọ́ àwọn ọba wa o. but ẹ dá mi lóhùn nígbà tí bàbá ẹ fẹ́ jọba ǹjẹ́ ẹni kó múyàwó bíi mẹ́fà wọlé.
no.
ṣé kò dágbára àbí àfihàn òtóbi nígbà ní kí àbímọ́ bá gbogbo. kì í ṣe Camilla tí ó wà pẹ̀lú ẹ̀ láti jọ ẹ náà lẹ́jọ́ sí. ẹni tí ò ní kí ó ṣiṣẹ́ ló wà lẹ́gbẹ̀ẹ́ ẹ̀. bó bá sùn tó bá rántí kankan àwọn onímọ̀ ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀ tó rántí Nàìjíríà.
bọ̀tá mọ̀ pé ilẹ̀ Yorùbá àwọn ọba tí wàá lè fẹ́ púpọ̀ lọ máa sọ so ìyàwó oríṣiríṣi á lè máa advice ọba náà àbí.
ẹ máa gbọ́ nígbà tá a wá lóye ìgbòho àgbègbè lórúkú àgbèkalẹ̀ ilé wàhálà kó wọṣọ wàhálà kó jẹun wàhálà bàbá tí wọ́n mọ̀ ń sin wàhálà kó là ń ké yẹn lọ.
àtẹ̀ǹgbọ́ rúmọ̀ sí ní ọbọ̀ ó kàn smell ni wọ́n ní olórí kan pé ó lọ ṣe bọ́ǹbọ̀n mo ì tí lè dárúkọ wọ́n ló ṣe bọ́ǹbọ̀n wọ́n ní palace dẹ̀ decline pé rọ́ ni èmi dẹ̀ ní kó lórí ṣe fídíò kátẹ̀rí fídíò lórí Instagram wọ́n ló lórí lọ ṣe bọ́ǹbọ̀n ó dẹ̀ ti wà ní coma èmi ò tí dárúkọ o mò ń gbọ́ ni o.
kí ni mò ń fàyọ̀ ní pé àkáǹtì wo la fẹ́ kí ẹ sí.
wọ́n ló fẹ́ ṣèbí kẹ́hìn dáàdì èmi tẹ́lẹ̀ náà bá rí olórí tó ṣe bọ́ǹbọ̀n tó wọṣọ tó wà lórí Instagram àti Twitter àti TikTok ṣáà ní láìkó lórí yẹn ni.
Ọlọ́run jẹ́ kó yẹ èèyàn. Understand mi sì bí àwọn èèyàn wá ṣe lajú dé gbogbo ohun tí wọ́n ń rí ẹ wo bí tèmi ń gbé bí wọ́n ń gbé bẹ̀ ní Sagat. Mo tó wá súnmọ́ bẹ̀ ní Ràdú. Gbogbo Ràdú tí mò ń fi ẹ̀ kò tó Ìbàdàn. Ṣùgbọ́n industrial estate tó wà ń bẹ̀.
Ó kẹmu.
Industrial estate tó wà ń bẹ̀ ó lé ní in fact àwọn èèyàn wá ń ṣiṣẹ́ bẹ̀ wọ́n wá ń ra lé ní gbogbo ẹ̀fẹ́. Ìlú ẹ̀ wá
ń develop.
Ó wá ń develop. Ṣé understand mi? Ẹ wo bí ìlú ìṣèkéré Island.
Bẹ́ẹ̀ni.
Ǹjẹ́ ọmọ fọ́nìtì? Wọ́n bá yẹ táǹkì ẹ̀ ó ti ní pàṣẹ́ntéèjì owó nípa táǹkì ẹ̀ máa ní tọ́ba ti ṣiṣẹ́. Tó gbogbo wọn competition wá wà. Kò sí competition. Kò sí ìtẹ́sán. Ibo lọ lórí pé àwọn àbẹ̀yìn láti ṣe à. Nǹkan ó ṣe. Náà pé bí o bá lọ ètò yìí ẹ̀dá mọ́ láàrin lọ Spain.
Ti China ṣẹ̀ dé ni mo rí yẹn lórí China news spacecraft wọn kan ṣẹ̀ padà dé àwọn China spacecraft space kí ni wọn kan ṣẹ̀ dé ni mo rí màá fi wọ̀nyí ní sẹ́ẹ̀ má sọ̀rọ̀ lọ.
Ọ̀pọ̀ ò ní rí ìṣekúṣe ṣe mọ́.
Iléeṣẹ́ padà dé ni.
Káfẹ́ pa.
No human right. After
ká lu ọmọ nílùkulù.
wọn náà oṣù mẹ́sàn-án ló lò eléyìí ti bímọ lọ́hùn ó ti padà kódà Amẹ́ríkà gbogbo wọn ọmọ tó lọ ṣe lọ́hùn wọn náà kọ́ lọ ṣe rìsáàṣì ni oṣù mẹ́sàn-án ló lò lókè lọ́hùn ló lọ bímọ ti wá bímọ sísàlẹ̀ báyìí. Bàbá
àbúrú yẹn ńṣe làwa ń padà sẹ́yìn àwọn tá a rò pé wọ́n mú kankan wá nígbà tán bá máa dé àwọn ìpínlẹ̀ gọ́ọ̀mù àtọ́jú àìmọye ọdún ní rò nígbà tán bá máa dé wọ́n máa mú wa padà sẹ́yìn nítorí ìjẹkújẹ tiwọn ìdájọ́ máa kọ́ ẹ́sẹ̀tì lẹ́yìn ní UK. Prime Minister mélòó ló kọ́ ẹ́sẹ̀tì mélòó ló ń lo mọ́tò mẹ́jọ pọ̀ mẹ́wàá kọ́ nígbà tí wọn ò ní san tax wọn ò ní san insurance wọn ò ní san anything.
Bàbá ṣe gan ni sà thank you.
Ẹ wá sọ kankan ẹ má bínú pé mo gbé ẹ. Bẹ́ẹ̀ mà pé iye ọmọ púpọ̀nù tó ń ṣiṣẹ́ ní Nàìjíríà lásán ó jẹ́ pé má ṣe ń gba owó yẹn ní rọ́ọ̀tà ló tà wọ́n tó kù bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ́nà bẹ́ẹ̀ dáhùn pé kì í ṣe bílíọ̀nù yẹn lásán.
Tí kò wà accountable fún ẹ rántí pé wọ́n náà kan kú nígbà tí ilé kan dà wó ní Lagos yẹn àwọn ọmọ tó kó wá láti ibẹ̀ yẹn tó wá ṣiṣẹ́ ọkọ máa ń sùn síbẹ̀ ni wọ́n nílé ará Lagos rẹ̀ nílé tó ń sanwó lé.
Orí tẹ́lẹ̀ gbé owó gidi lọlé ní ẹ̀ẹ̀mọye tó ń gbà. Ẹ̀ẹ̀mọye tó ń gbà.
No record.
Wọ́n ti fún kọ́sọ̀mù ní immigration ní 1,000.
Wọ́n ti kọjá lọ.
Wọ́n ti kọjá lọ nìyẹn.
Ẹ ṣe gan ni.
Àkáǹtì ìtàfẹ́ pọ̀ yẹn. Táàtì ni ìjẹun òde kankan.
Tax lọ fi ń jẹun Ọlọ́run jẹ́ káwọn náà rí tax fi jẹun ẹ ṣe gan ni dáàdì torí àsìkò ni ẹ ṣe gan ni. Ẹ kó ti tọ́ sọ wọ́n dòmìnira.
Ẹ kó ti tọ́ sọ wọ́n dòmìnira torí pé wọn ò ro ọjọ́ iwájú kò sí pé kò sómi ọ̀nà.
Wọ́n ní Rome was not built in one day.
Kí ni ìlú fi jẹ́? Gbogbo bọ́ọ̀lù tí wọ́n ń gbẹ̀ yẹn tó mọ indication bá. Àmọ́ indication. But they continue doing it. Ìjọba ọ̀fẹ́ ṣe kankan. Láyé jákàndé yìí ní pé mo ti ń tà yìí. Omi ọ̀fẹ́ là ń pọn. Ó ti omi ọ̀fẹ́.
Ìyàn mà sí mọ́ nísìnyí. Ìyàn mà sí mọ́ nísìnyí.
Lọ pé òkú òun àti òun nínú oníwà lọ́pọ̀ ní wàá wẹ̀ wá ní ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀. Àdúgbò tí wọ́n dẹ̀ tún ṣàyè sí ọba fẹ́ fọ sọ́fẹ̀ náà.
Mo rántí náà ní phase 2 náà àwọn kan máa ń fọṣọ alágbàfọ̀ a máa fọṣọ lọ báyìí tó mímọ́ máa yọ alágbàfọ̀. Kí n tó máa gẹ́lọ́ bàbá tó lásìkò Fáṣọlá ní Buhari kọ́lé 8,300 and something ó ṣe 9,000 kilometre of road kí lẹ tún fẹ́ èèyàn mọ Nàìjíríà kí lẹ máa sọ sí under 1 minute.
Ẹ̀rín kò jẹ́ kó owó wọn ni wọ́n ń ná lójú ara wọn.
Owó wọlé ni. Mo kí Mr. Rajide. Ẹ ṣe gan ni bàbá torí àsìkò ni. Ọmọ òtítọ́ àwa máa sọ fún wọn ó bá yá wa gbọ́n tá à ń sọ. Ẹ ṣe gan ni sir. Thank you so much. Torí àsìkò ni mo kí gbogbo ẹ̀yin èèyàn wa ẹ jẹ́ ká sáré padà sí ṣẹ́rí pé China oṣù mẹ́sàn-án ló lọ fi lóyún ó ti wá bímọ padà sí ojú ayé báyìí eléyìí tẹ́ ń wò yìí ó ṣẹ̀ padà dé ni Chinese Space Authority said a reusable uncrewed space vehicle kò séyàn nínú ẹ̀ returned to Earth on Monday ìyẹn ní àná after 276 days in orbit ó kàn lọ káàkiri nínú orbit wọ́n control ẹ̀ nísàlẹ̀ more than 100 times longer than his maiden flight less than 3 years ago. Hello, caller.
Hello, Mr. Koiki. Ẹ jọ̀ọ́ mi kò fẹ́ sáré dá sí program. Ó ní statement ìkọ̀ntẹ́sán gbà fún on this program tó ń lọ lọ́wọ́ yìí. Wípé báwo ló ṣe pé àwọn funfun yìí ṣe ní agbára.
Yes.
Tí wọ́n because ó ní kan tí a kì í ṣàkíyèsí Yorùbá máa ń pe òwe kan, wọ́n ní títẹ̀yàn kún ò bá bàjẹ́, títẹ̀yàn kún ò ní dá.
Kábíyèsí o.
Ṣóyè, ọ̀dọ́ a gbọ́dọ̀ ṣe burúkú síra wa, àwọn ọmọ Yorùbá. Àmọ́ principle and theory funfun lò nìyẹn. Ṣóyè náà, because funfun mọ bó ṣe máa jẹun lórí ewé tó àbí báwọn ṣe máa ń sọ tó máa fi ewé yẹn pa báwọn ṣe ń sọ ní mọ proverb nìta. Wọ́n mọ bó ṣe máa jẹyàn tí wọ́n máa ṣe bí èkúté, that is funfun. Tẹ́ bá dáwọn funfun wọ̀nyí, wọ́n ṣe ritual 24/7. Wọ́n ṣe ritual 24/7. Tí bá sọ fún yín, ṣe rí òkúta tó ní wọ́n gbé síbẹ̀ yẹn. Okay? Òkúta yẹn ó represent ọmọ aládé. Ṣé ó ti yẹ yí ọmọ aládé tó represent Yorùbá? Òkú aláwọ̀ dúdú. Èyí lẹ́ni àwọn èèyàn wa wá sì máa sọ British wọ́n lágbára, àwọn funfun lágbára. Kí ni fi bẹ̀rẹ̀? Tí téèyàn kò bá bàjẹ́, téèyàn kò ní ká. So funfun láti make sure pé a máa wá máa tọrọ jẹ lọ́wọ́ wọn ni. A máa wá máa ṣiṣẹ́ bí ẹrú lọ́wọ́ wọn ni. Wọ́n dẹ̀ ń ṣe rituals. Òkúta yẹn, tá bá lọ sórí òkúta yẹn, because that is not that real stone. Tá bá lọ wo story stone tó gbé síwájú yẹn, wọ́n sọ pé that was Jacob's stone.
Bẹ́ẹ̀ mo ti ṣe documentary lórí ẹ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ ni Jacob's stone lọ́kùnrin ẹ̀.
Mi wo èmi náà fi tẹ̀ ṣe ọlọ́fun èmi náà ṣe mi lọ into the scripture. Mi ṣe àwọn other ones ti ṣe ìgbéjáde last Saturday by the power of the Most High God. Òkúta jọ sọ pé Jacob's kìíní yẹn. Ẹ mọ̀ pé a ti sọ from time Yorùbá ló mọ aládé òkúta yẹn òun náà ń pè ní ẹjọ́ kọ́ gbórílẹ̀ lórí tó gbé òkúta yẹn sílẹ̀ òun ni ẹjọ́ ń pè ní Odùduwà. Ṣóyẹ so òkúta yẹn òun ni Jacob òun ló ta epo lé lórí. That is what they call libation. Àwọn wo ló ń libate? Yorùbá àwa la máa tẹ epo sórí òkúta la máa sọ pé the God of our ancestors. Àwọn Yíbò ń ṣe, àwa ń ṣe, àwọn Haúsá ń ṣe, àwọn Ghana àwọn náà ń ṣe, àwọn Benin wọ́n ń ṣe because mi náà rẹ́kàn gbà tún kéré. Wọ́n ní òkúta yẹn lẹ́yìn ilẹ̀kùn yàrá wọn tó máa ń dé tí bàbá wọn máa ń fi pàdé ogóró sí. Funfun ò kì í ṣe. So nǹkan tí fẹ́ fàyọ ni pé àwa la mú ẹni tá a jẹ́ because ní orílẹ̀-èdè ayé yìí tá a wà Ọlọ́run ló ń gbé ìjọba lé anybody lọ́wọ́. So yẹn náà kò sí bí tábà go into history. Ìgbà wo ni àwọn funfun wá first time they came into rulership on this planet? That was in 331 BC. That was the first time the white people came into rulership. So gbogbo àwọn research yìí táwọn èèyàn wò bá ṣe tí wọ́n bá ní knowledge yẹn wọ́n kọ́ sọ àwọn the white people they are so great. Now the white people they have to speak lies. So ibi tí àwọn èèyàn máa rò pé ìjọba àwọn atọ́pọ̀ àwọn ti débẹ̀. So irú ọ̀yẹn ni wọ́n máa fi ń gbéra wọn ga. Òpó pẹ̀lú wá nínú ìdí oracle of God. Kakọ̀ mọ ẹni tí wọ́n jẹ́ orúkọ tó lọ ń pè wọ́n nínú Bible. Tó ìjọba kan sọ pé àwọn èèyàn funfun wọ́n funfun rẹ́ẹ̀dì ni wọ́n péèlì dẹ̀ ní skin wọn. So aláìtìmọ̀ so òkúta yẹn ó ṣe pàtàkì. So òkúta yẹn kẹ̀ èyí tí wọ́n gbé síwájú yẹn is a what is a cemented bricks tí wọ́n lọ create. Because one more history behind that stone. So and they can never lay their hand on it. So it's just like Tabazo Ark of the Covenant. Okay, it doesn't say it is somewhere in Ethiopia. It's a lie. Nobody knows where the Ark of the Covenant was hidden. Because when the Ark of the Covenant in this last day, lọ́nà máa gbé jáde. So gbogbo àwọn àṣírí yẹn ni wọ́n fẹ́ káwọn èèyàn wá mọ̀. So èyí tó ń sọ pé wọ́n lọ gbé wọ́n gbé sórí abẹ́jọ́ báwo ẹ̀ sì máa gbé òkúta sábẹ́jọ́ òkúta yẹn ó represent ẹjọ́ ń pè Jésù. So nǹkan tá ritual táwọn ṣe ní pé òkè táwọn bá sọ pé òkúta yìí because this stone tí Jacob Odùduwà tó tẹ epo lé lórí. Okay, wọ́n mọ̀ pé òun ni the cornerstone tó máa wá save àwọn ọmọ Yorùbá àwọn ọmọ Israeli in the last days. Òun ló fẹ́ ṣẹlẹ̀. Ìjọba sọ pé òkè wọ́n jí òkúta yẹn ní 1996 wọ́n jí lọ sí Scotland.
Bẹ́ẹ̀ni.
Tábà lọ ṣe research àwọn wo náà wà Scotland. Àwọn èèyàn wa tó jẹ́ tó wà Jamaica ní. dúdú ni gbogbo wa. Ìtura ṣe sọ pé Queen went to go and die in Scotland and they brought her back to England. You know, everything is ritual because ọmọ pé wọ́n máa wá sóko ẹrú nílẹ̀ Yorùbá. Nǹkan tí wọ́n ń tẹ̀ láti avoid nìyẹn. So but ritual gbogbo nǹkan ṣe but it's so painful. Àwọn èèyàn wa tí they don't have the understanding of what is going on. Because ṣe ráwọn funfun yìí wọ́n ṣe kọ́ tó wọ́n ṣe ìgbà tí wọ́n ní queen wọn queen tí ó tó sọ pé wọ́n ṣe mú gold jáde tó fi ṣe ritual. Because I'm about to see the book of Matthew verse 25. Verse 25. Àrí níbẹ̀ pé ẹ̀tọ́ ń pè Jésù ọmọ Yorùbá ni. Ó sọ pé ẹ jẹ́ kí àwọn àgùntàn kọ́ wá sọ́wọ́ goat kọ́ wá sọ́wọ́ òsì. Àwọn funfun ni goat. Because Ọlọ́run fẹ́ dáná sun wọ́n ni. Wọ́n mọ ẹni tí wọ́n jẹ́. But irú èèyàn wọ́n láti máa ṣe àwọn rituals yẹn. Wípé àwọn náà ní culture. No, one culture, but they are meant to doom. Because I want to answer on by doomsday. Then because you first saw again, it also with China. Because about 3 years ago or 4 years ago, America is saying that the China is going to the dark side of the moon. This is Hegelian dialectic. So, they don't want to know yàrá tí wọ́n ti gbogbo lẹ̀kùn àti window. Báwo lèèyàn ṣe máa jáde tí kò sí lẹ̀kùn kò sí window? This is how this planet and gbé bó ṣe wà nìyẹn. Kò sẹ́ni tó lè jáde planet. So gbogbo ọlọ́dọ̀ máa ń gbọ́ pé we went to the moon. We went to the sun, to the this thing. To run gbogbo ẹ̀. It's just to uplift their status. Àwọn funfun yìí, they've gone too far. You know, because we have to ask them questions. Where is apparatus they use to calculate the distance from one end of the earth to the other? You know, what is the apparatus they use to calculate from the ground down to the sky? You know, the more we keep asking the white people that question, they get them founded. One, yes or no? You know, because one like Makuro, it's already one Makuro, and Koya, I do ìbọn kan. Now the man, àwọn òyìnbó they are great, àwọn òyìnbó they are great, but they are not great. And we are the great people. And while I like to money that jẹ́, nísìnyí ẹ̀rù ń bá wọn, like ẹ̀mí ló tó fẹ́ just say of recent, tó fẹ́ lọ kidnap olóyè Sunday Igboho. Because wọ́n mọ ẹni tó jẹ́ in the spirit. So a lot of things táwọn èèyàn wò wọ́n, àwọn làálà ti dìde sí ká mọ ẹni tá a jẹ́. Because àwọn funfun Chinese, Arab, East India gbogbo wọn, they came together to destroy us. Wọ́n mọ ẹni tá a jẹ́. Because táwa ń jà fún nìyẹn. So gbogbo àwọn ẹni tí wọ́n wà láàrin wa tí wọ́n sọ pé àwọn ń ṣe Yorùbá nation tó ti dalẹ̀ wọ́n ṣe ara wa majority wọn wọ́n ṣiṣẹ́ fún British government àwọn Fúlàní ni. So gbogbo wọn tíjà yẹn bá dẹsẹ̀ lọ Ọlọ́run sọ pé kì í ṣe ẹrú gbogbo àwọn tí wọ́n dalẹ̀ ara àwọn tó máa kọ́kọ́ mú tẹ máa bẹ́ lórí yẹn because Ògún ló ń bọ̀ Ògún máa fi wọ́n fẹ́ ṣẹ̀jẹ̀ wẹ̀. Nǹkan tẹ̀mí sọ ìpínlẹ̀ fọwọ́ gbáyà. So kì í ṣe pé kínní. So Ọlọ́run ti fi hàn wá nǹkan tó máa ṣẹlẹ̀. So àkàn láti ní sùúrù ni. So gbogbo àwọn èyí tó ń sọ pé wọ́n lọ sí. If I tell you one thing, okay, if òyìnbó gangan l'Amẹ́ríkà one black white woman ló ṣe documentary yẹn.
Mo kí mọ́nú Comfort Lọ́lá. Mo gbádùn àbẹ̀rẹ̀.
Ó ṣe documentary yẹn. If you know the technology called hologram technology.
Yeah.
Okay, I did a little bit study when I was in uni about it. Okay, they modernize it to a level with the 3-4 dimension. And the top one crown here is likely hologram. Okay, because Prince Charles gbogbo àwọn also called royal family wọ́n ti sá lọ wọ́n ti lọ sá pamọ́ because nǹkan fẹ́ ṣẹlẹ̀ àwọn náà mọ̀ because torí ẹni UFO ló ti wà everywhere wọ́n mọ̀ because àwọn ancestors wa àwọn náà ń bọ̀ àwọn tí wọ́n wá dárí ayé yìí tá à ń pè ní irú mọ́lẹ̀ àwa lọ́mọ wọn àwọn èèyàn wa ni wọ́n ti kò tí ì ìjọ tí ń gbọ́ tí ń ṣe fi gbowó sọ́pọ̀ àwọn irú mọ́lẹ̀ máa jà ẹ wọ pé Ọlọ́run ti sí bàbá yìí lọ́kàn ni. So àwọn funfun dẹ̀ ti mọ gbogbo àwọn secret yẹn wọ́n ti mọ gbogbo àwọn àṣírí yẹn so gbogbo èyí tẹ́kọ̀ nítorí ìṣe sọ fún ìjẹta sọ̀rọ̀ ń gbá kọ́mí sókè Mr. Koiki ẹ wo bí Nigerian Fulani government wọ́n sì máa ń lọ attack àwọn Biafra pẹ̀lú kí ó jẹ́ pé diplomacy náà máa ń lò pẹ̀lú Yorùbá There's a one more key Yoruba in the new age that's a war. It's a new age, new rulers on the planet. Yoruba they don't lead everybody. Just like what you said before. Okay, what you said about one for you agbára. At the same time, you want to say people not think that during the Second World War, fell on the
Ethiopia.
Yeah, because I will tell you one thing. They know who the Ethiopians are. Okay, I want not play the Africa. They have, bet I want Ethiopia can go in. One handshake or not. But nobody will ever conquer Ethiopia, Somalia, and Libya. So I want one more prophecy. So but I want to Israeli app. All these AC nations come and take over our resources. Gbogbo àwọn dúkìá ilẹ̀ wa á ní ẹjọ́ yẹ. Òun máa rán wa tó máa wá máa kó there for a period of time. Period of time yẹn ló ti end nsìn. Òun yẹn àwọn wọ́n wá wá bó ṣe máa extend yẹ. Yorùbá jẹ́ lọ́mọ aláyé tó máa rule. So gbogbo àwọn nǹkan bẹ́ẹ̀ yẹn ni àwọn ti mọ̀. Àwọn èèyàn wa ni wọ́n ti mọ̀. Má ṣe ń sọ pé Tinubu ń bọ̀, ìkíní ń bọ̀. To hell with Tinubu. Tinubu is just working for the British government and the Fulani. So wọ́n kọ́ lò ó just to say okay ẹ̀yin Yorùbá mọ̀ pé kí ókè ẹja fún yín ní Tinubu kẹtù pẹ̀lú jákẹ́ kẹsọ́pà at least Tinubu will do it maybe for another 4-8 years we see what he get. No, but the end is come. Ó lè bẹ̀rẹ̀ lálẹ́ yìí gangan. This just it. Ó lè bẹ̀rẹ̀ lálẹ́. This is how I'm telling you. The white people they are on the edge of falling headlong to destruction. So àwa Yorùbá aláti dúró gidi. Àwa lọmọ aládé ògùn aráwọ̀ dúdú. Ọlọ́run tó fi ẹ̀mí yẹn sọ́kàn ẹni tó kọ lẹ́rìtì yẹn. Because Ọlọ́run sọ pé look, what you think, okay, what you say, I will put it in your mouth. Àwọn amáwò mi it's my own decision that I thought about it. No. Ọlọ́run ló fi sí ẹni tó kọ lẹ́rìtì yẹn pé ọmọ aládé ògùn aláwọ̀ dúdú. The glory of all black race. Àwa ni Yorùbá ni. Yorùbá ni. So, kókó máa ń dùn mí kí ló ṣe àwọn èèyàn wá ẹ̀fẹ́ dìde ni. Ẹ ṣe like oppression so much. Eléyìí àwa Fúlàní àwa oppress India àwa oppress Chinese àwa oppress. Ẹ ti gbàgbé pé ẹni tẹ́kùn bá bí ọmọ tẹ́kùn bá bí báwo ni ọmọ tó ń jọ.
Ẹkùn ló ń jọ bẹ́ẹ̀ ni.
Ẹkùn ló ń jọ nísìnyí Fúlàní àwa ẹ má di àjà nítorí pé kìíní oní Mr. Koiki ẹ wo àsìkò jáde tó. Àsìkò jáde tó mujẹmujẹ la wa gan náà wọ́n ti mú ẹ̀jẹ̀ wa àwa náà fẹ́ mú ẹ̀jẹ̀. Ó wà nínú Bible àsìkò ti tó òkè àjẹ máa fi ẹ̀jẹ̀ àwọn funfun àtàwọn Fúlàní ẹ̀jẹ̀ wọn la máa fi wẹ̀. Ògún bọ̀ láti bá fún wa fẹ́ jẹ wọn wẹ̀. Okay, ṣé gan Mr. Koiki.
Thank you so much. Wow, it's been my brother in truth. Thank you so much, Call It Tech and the rest of you. We have to call it we have to call it a day now. I'm not even Gomo means of I missed the pickup. Maybe I don't know what happened anyway. But I still have to be out anyway. I have to bring the program to an end. But I need to come. We've spent too much on the calls already, and we appreciate all the callers.
Counterpart Pierre Laval, who was also the French Prime Minister at the time, about how the war could be quickly brought to an end. Here, the desire to appease Italy and prevent it from drifting closer to Nazi Germany was paramount, and the whole Laval Pact, details of which were leaked by the British press.
What's in leak information? As at 1935, one leak information.
December effectively outlined a plan whereby Abyssinia would lose roughly half of its territory to Italy, allowing the Italians to connect their colonies of Eritrea and Somaliland. This was completely unacceptable to Selassie's government and a complete betrayal of the mandate of the League of Nations. Outrage followed. Hoare resigned as British Foreign Minister, and ultimately the revelation of details of the pact brought to an end any efforts to find a diplomatic solution to the conflict. The Hoare-Laval Pact and the wider Abyssinia crisis is generally seen as also sounding the death knell of the League of Nations.
So if you believe in anything United Nations, you will be here forever. Moki Alaja, Yawa, David, Moki. That is how far I can go. I've spent just 3 hours precisely, and the program will go over 3 hours. So I will not be able to move further from here. I can't take the calls. I want to take power contribute. They've added value to the conversation today. We started with Starr Radio UK. We switched to our own timeline, which is Koiki Media. And I say thank you so much, everyone. My name is Olayomi Koiki, Mukim Baba Kuleshita, and the rest of you. King AY Pompey, and the rest of you on the Instagram. If I don't mention your name, please, Emafishe Ibinurara. My own Akin Games, Heaven Indeed, Comrade Plan B, and the rest of the 7 listeners as well. My name again is Olayomi Koiki. This is Koiki Media, and I say, checking out now. We'll be back if I have the time later on tonight, where we just continue where we say Yoruba Nation is no going back. No going back means no going back. Our Niramwalade, but we are still wasting too much of our precious time trying to rectify Nigeria, trying to fix Nigeria, trying to do Ororo the Kolan Soy. We're talking about who we are. So that Iban Loka Kriya Baye, come on, me pay Omo Yoruba Lomboy. That's all. Ba ma lowo lowo, bokote mo pe Omo Yoruba lele. Awata travel la mo feelings yen. Wajade wa ma be, what country are you from? Adaruko do mi ma pe. Nibo lele wa. They are not better off us. So, awata wa nita, tam lo bi meji meta ati travel lale. Only man understand feelings in. Go travel, go no Nigerian passport, come and be your ìlú olele. Ìtò dẹ̀ ti dá máa gbé ìgbà mi máa lọ gbé magnifying glass. I'm not joking. Ìtò ti ṣẹlẹ̀ sí àwa rí ni. Àgbé magnifying glass. Àwọn àfi fẹ́ẹ̀tì àwọn àfi wò. Pé bolo ti ń gbé bọ̀. Láti bò síbo. So that is what we are fighting for. We're not fighting because I hate a Christian, I hate a Mùsùlùmí, I hate ìṣẹ̀ṣe. No. A fẹ́ padà síbi tí orísun wa gangan wà. Kí orí ìgan tẹ̀lé lálàáfíà. Pressure tó wà lórí wa yìí. Pressure tó wà lórí ọmọ Yorùbá. Ó ti pọ̀ jù. Kò dẹ̀ jó pé torí Nàìjíríà ta wà lọ. The moment a bá gba country tiwa, ẹ realize pé pressure yẹn máa drop. Ó máa drop lẹ́sẹ̀kẹsẹ̀. A máa ń rí feelings yẹn díẹ̀ tá a bá wá sílé. Tó bá wá Nàìjíríà wà á rí feelings yẹn. Lọ́kọ̀ yẹn after 3 days, feelings yẹn máa lọ. Torí pé gbogbo àwọn nǹkan tó ń rí tí kò tẹ́ lọ́rùn. Moment tá a bá bèrè lọ́wọ́ àwọn àǹtí ẹ̀ tó bá ti bọ́ sórí flight tó ń padà bọ̀ láàbùrọ̀, ìrònú ti dé bá wọn. So bó ṣe jẹ́ ni ẹni tó pè ẹ má bínú àní lè gbé kọ́ ọ̀kan mọ́. I gotta play the anthem. We will not be able to play anything. I got to go now. It's almost 1:45. I have a lot of other things I need to attend to. But like I said, if time permits, I'll be back later on in the night. If otherwise, just stay tuned on Koiki Media. And we can still do our road conversation or the store conversation and all that and all that. Muki Bubalen Konseo. Muki, I want quiet and silent listener. But Meluvan, I can comment. No money comment. We know you're there, but we appreciate you as well. Anthem minimum what I'm very juicy by. So we can go. Anthem is man for me. It's mama wa by. What's that? That's it. Only if you allow the deal to batiwa.
Kadola
Bye for now.
Ẹ má fojú kó eruku ata abẹ́ ń bẹ eruku ata tí o ti fojú kó bàbá wà gbogbo Nàìjíríà. Ẹ má fojú kó ata yín lójú.
Ọmọ Òdùà. Ọ̀gá Fúlàní ló jẹ́ o. Yorùbá nation yìí ti gbogbo wa ni. Kó má gbọ́dọ̀ bàjẹ́. Torí kò sílùú mìíràn.
Life is so funny. You come with nothing, then fight for everything, and later leave everything and go back with empty hand. God is powerful.
Koiki Media, bringing the world closer to our doorsteps. Bye for now.